She thought she was about to die. So, without any restraint, she set her sights on the most handsome and most dangerous man in the empire. Every day, she shamelessly threw herself at him in new ways. But 3 months later, the doctor said it had all been a misdiagnosis. She could only throw her head back and cry out, "I might as well just die." Because Letty was feeling unwell, she went to see a doctor. But instead, she was told that too much magic power had accumulated inside her body. She had developed mana resistance syndrome and only had 3 months left to live. Not wanting to just sit around and wait for death, Letty decided to write a bucket list and complete everything on it before she died. First, she asked her personal maid, Annie, what she most wanted to do before dying. When she learned that Annie wanted to buy lots of cakes, Letty quietly made a note of it. But her relationship with her family had always been terrible. Her father and mother sold her to a wealthy marquis. Her older brother Leon inherited the magic and also inherited the family property, and she had nothing, not even the right to study. The only reason she had learned to read at all was to help her brother. When Leon saw Letty in the dining room too, he immediately looked displeased, especially after hearing her mock him. He directly picked up a glass of red wine and splashed it over her head. He even told their parents that unless she got lost, he would not eat. And just as expected, her mother sided with Leon. Looking at the happy, harmonious family of 3, Letty felt that even if they knew she would die in 3 months, nothing would change. She did not want to live like a fool and then die without a sound. For the rest of her days, she would do the things she truly wanted to do. Letty picked up her pen and wrote down her own bucket list. Buy cakes for Annie. Earn money with her own strength. Break off the engagement with the Marquis with dignity. Date a handsome man for 3 months. Travel to places she had heard of countless times, but never been to. She had always been nothing more than a tool for her family to use. Now, she wanted to try living for herself just once, so that her life would not end in regret. The first wish was fulfilled very easily. On the way back, their carriage got stuck in a muddy pit. Just then, a carriage from Duke Candel's family came from the opposite direction. That was the most powerful family in the empire, and that duke in particular was known as a monster-like existence. As the carriage jolted, they saw a man lift the carriage with one hand. Letty thought he was just the Duke family's coachman, and could not help but admire him. But when she returned home, she saw that her fiancé, the Marquis, who was almost the same age as her father, had come to visit her. The moment she heard Segra's extremely greasy words, Letty felt that she could fulfill her third wish today, to cut ties completely with that disgusting man. Because her parents favored sons over daughters. Even though their daughter had extremely high magical talent, she still could not receive a proper education. Because the teacher cherished her talent, he secretly taught Letty a few techniques. And now was the perfect time to test the results of her practice. After hanging Segra up, Letty solemnly told him that the engagement was cancelled. Her father and mother hurried over after hearing the commotion, although her Duke father immediately dispelled the magic and stepped forward to gently try to smooth things over. He still failed to keep the humiliated and furious Marquis from leaving. Suddenly, a loud slap landed on Letty's face. Her father angrily accused her of causing a disaster because that marriage deal could have nearly paid off all the family's debts. Her mother also hysterically cursed at her, saying she was an ungrateful wretch. But they had forgotten who it was that cleaned up this family's mess every single day. But at this moment, her furious parents could not hear a word of reason. Her father even threatened to throw her out of the house. That, instead, was exactly what Letty wanted, because to her, the most frightening thing was realizing that she had never mattered at all. She bowed to her parents and thanked them for raising her. Then she turned around and left resolutely. But Leon suddenly called out to stop her. He still remembered how Letty had humiliated him at the dinner table. He mocked her for being an idiot who could not even use magic. Then he directly launched a magical attack at her. But the composed Letty merely waved out a magic circle with one hand. The next second, Leon was buried in the ground. Ignoring his furious howls, Letty left the Duke's house without looking back. She had completed the first 3 wishes in a single day, and now only the 4th and 5th remained. She decided to first make money by doing what she was best at. Letty ran excitedly to the Mage Guild and loudly asked if anyone needed a purification mage, because purification magic requires powerful magical energy to sustain it. If the other party's mana capacity is greater or their mental strength is stronger, purification magic will completely fail. But for Letty, who had excess magic power, that was nothing at all. But the owner only used the 2 phrases, "No, don't need one," to drive Letty out the door. When it rains, it pours. She had wanted to check other shops, but the little money she had left on her was stolen too. When those people heard that Letty was a purification mage, they did not take her seriously at all. But they did not expect that in the next second, a ball of flame would come from behind them, and Letty began attacking them while desperately chasing after them. But because they ran too fast, she simply could not catch up. In her heart, she kept praying, "Someone please help me. Anyone, please help me." At that moment, the man ahead turned his face, and in that instant, Letty felt as if she had seen a god. That man was so handsome, it was practically illegal, but the smell on him was so foul that it made her want to vomit. The two robbers recognized at once, from that smell and the terrifying pressure alone, that the man was none other than the monster Duke Candel. And in the next second, their lives came to an end. Letty stared blankly at that man. So, he was Shalahan Candel. Born into the most powerful family in the empire, he was also the strongest swordsman in the country. As a general, he had led soldiers to victory in a war that should have been lost, and because of his brutal temperament, he was called the Satan of the battlefield. But all Letty could think was that looking like that was practically a crime. Even if he had a strange smell on him, as long as she could see that face, nothing else mattered. She quietly turned her head and giggled to herself. This appearance was completely her ideal type. He must have used that face to reel in lots of girls. Wouldn't that perfectly match her standard that her partner should have dating experience? Shalahan was also observing the girl in front of him. She looked like a noble lady, yet had no guards with her. Seeing her trembling slightly, he thought she was afraid of him. Because of this curse that cannot be lifted, even if I helped her, she would still fear me. Thinking this, Shalahan felt a little irritated. How much longer would he have to endure this kind of prejudice? But in the next second, the girl suddenly grabbed his arm and asked him with a face full of anticipation whether he had a lover, because he was too handsome. So would he like to date her for just 3 months? This was a scene Shalahan had never experienced before, and for a moment, his whole body froze. Letty first told him her name, then she asked his name too. Although she already knew the answer, it was only polite to ask. Shalahan somewhat flusteredly told her his name. Letty could not help sighing that even his voice sounded so good, low and sexy. Such straightforward praise made Shalahan's face show pure resistance. Was she making fun of him? But Letty smiled brightly. It's very nice to meet you, Shalahan. It was just such a simple greeting, yet Shalahan had not heard it for a full 2 years. Letty then asked, would you consider dating me? Shalahan finally managed to calm himself down. He said that she should have already seen him killing with his sword just now. Was she really not afraid at all? Then, while telling her not to joke about this kind of thing, he turned and left. Seeing the girl standing there, without any reaction, Shalahan thought that she really had just been joking. Who would have thought that Letty was actually wiping away a nosebleed? This was way too handsome. How could he be this sexy? What exactly should I do for him to agree? This man was stunningly handsome, yet he had somehow been single since birth. The first time a girl confessed to him, he thought she was joking and did not even respond. But instead, that only stirred Letty's desire to conquer him. Such an outstanding man still hasn't fallen for me? Fine. I will definitely work hard to make your life complete. That was easy to say, but how to see him again next time became a problem. Luckily, just when she was feeling sleepy, someone handed her a pillow. Letty, drinking away her sorrows in a bar, keenly overheard people nearby discussing Duke Candel. She pretended to walk casually over to the men's table. I heard the Duke is looking for a purification mage recently. What rumor? Letty smoothly joined the conversation and sat down at the table as if she knew them well. The men did not find it strange at all and enthusiastically explained it to her. Some said the Duke carried a very terrifying curse. As long as you got close to him, you would smell something like a rotting corpse. Only then did Letty remember. So that was the strange smell. But it did not seem as exaggerated as the rumors made it out to be. The man and his friends became more and more enthusiastic as they talked, and they even shared their food with Letty. In short, in order to break the curse, he was currently looking for a purification mage through the Intelligence Guild, but because the smell was so strong, all the previous purification mages had run away, and purification mages were already rare to begin with, so finding one had always been difficult. After hearing all that, Letty more or less understood the situation. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. At that moment, her fighting spirit was already ignited. Just wait for me. She could practically already see it. The little cat called the Duke was wagging its tail at her. A week later, Letty, having arranged things in advance with the Information Guild, appeared right on time in front of Shalahan, who had come to look for a purification mage. I reflected on it. That day I came on too strong and asked you to date me right away. You must have been frightened, right? So, how about we start with an employer-employee relationship first? Let me properly introduce myself again. Looking at such an enthusiastic Letty, Shalahan thought, I had clearly already warned her, yet her nerve is really something else. Letty gently lifted her skirt. I am the Empire's #1 purification mage, Letty Blanche. Allow me to purify your curse. My only fee is food and lodging. As she said that, she had already pulled out a contract.
Come, sign it.
But Shalahan asked darkly, can you take responsibility for the words you say? If you're just making fun of me, be careful, you may not even live to see tomorrow morning sun. Letty swallowed hard, intimidated by his aura, and thought, even though I never formally studied magical skills, I know purification magic very well, so it should be fine. Anyway, I'm almost dead already. so what is there to be afraid of? So she suddenly grabbed Shalahan's hand. Without another word, she immediately began casting purification magic, and brilliant light instantly wrapped around the two of them. With a crackling sound, as the black and golden lights intertwined and collided, the clashing magic actually let out a sharp noise. Letty gradually began to struggle. She had not expected so much spiritual power to be drained away. This curse was stronger than she imagined, and my spiritual power is actually clashing with Shalahan's curse too, making purification even harder. As the light slowly faded, Letty's stamina and spiritual power had almost been completely devoured by the curse. She let go of his hand and told Shalahan to check for himself. Shalahan's heart was pounding violently, but he dared not hope, because he had failed too many times before. Ever since childhood, this curse had always been with him. No one understood its horror better than he did. It was a curse that continuously rotted the body and gave off a disgusting corpse-like stench. But as the bandages were slowly unwrapped, a fair and flawless hand appeared before them. At that moment, Shalahan was so shaken inside that he could barely speak. This was the first real miracle his body had ever welcomed. This girl thought she was about to die, so all she wanted was to have a sweet romance and fulfill her wish. She had thought that this man was cold-blooded and heartless, so when they parted, he should be able to let go cleanly too. But who would have known that he would become obsessed with her? Shalahan looked at his hand, now restored to its original state. Faced with a contract Letty held out with a smile while enduring discomfort, he no longer hesitated. I absolutely cannot miss this opportunity. Until the curse disappears completely, I will never let you leave. When Letty woke up, she was already in Duke Candel's residence, and Shalahan was sitting beside her. I saw that the contract said I needed to provide food and lodging, so I brought you here first. If you feel offended, then I will arrange another place for you right now. I don't. Thank you very much. Letty cut him off happily. How could she possibly be dissatisfied with such a perfect chance to get close to him? Then Shalahan took out another contract. Again. Since that's the case, there are 2 copies of the contract. I will keep the other one. Letty looked at that handsome face right in front of her. She was so excited, she almost pounced on him for a cuddle, but unfortunately, he agilely dodged away. Instead, she grabbed his hand and danced with excitement. Please take good care of me from now on. I will be good to you. This startled Shalahan. Between you and me, there is only an employer-employee relationship. Letty asked him to call her in a more intimate way. Shalahan's whole body stiffened. He had no experience calling anyone by a pet name. For a moment, he did not know what to do, so he stood up. You fainted just now. I only came over to check on your condition. Your luggage has already been put away. Since you're fine, I'll leave first. Letty looked somewhat regretful. He clearly looked like an old hand at romance, so why does he always reject me? Am I not his type? But people's type can change too. She stared at Shalahan with a sly smile, making him feel a chill run down his spine. After telling her to rest first and talk tomorrow, he hurriedly left the room. After he left, Letty hugged the pillow and rolled happily around on the bed. At that moment, she had practically already thought up names for their future children. As for Shalahan, after leaving, he had only meant to lean against the door to calm himself down. Unexpectedly, every love-struck thing she said inside the room drifted clearly into his ears, making him wish he could crawl into a hole. What kind of creature had he hired? The next day, Shalahan was leisurely drinking tea, but the gaze of the woman before him was simply too burning. He really could not keep drinking. Is there something you want to say? Letty leaned over the table with a love-struck expression. I waited for you all morning. Why didn't you have breakfast with me? Shalahan was startled again after hearing that, and he even snapped the handle of his teacup. You actually want to eat with me? It seems your appetite is truly something. Letty did not understand, so Shalahan brought up his curse. It was a curse left behind by someone on the verge of death, and this kind of curse is even more powerful. Even if the one who cast it is already dead, the curse still will not disappear. Since the age of 8, he had been wrapped in bandages imbued with magic that blocked strange odors. This curse had drained the life from his skin. It rotted away bit by bit. Even with purification mages, they could only slow the spread of the curse. They could never completely remove it. Seeing the worried expression on Letty's face, Shalahan thought, if you also find it disgusting, then it's fine if you run away, because I will definitely drag you back again, as long as this curse can be removed. Because as long as the curse can be broken, I am capable of anything. But Letty instead took his rotting hand and earnestly promised him, I will definitely lift your curse. Letty held Shalahan's rotting hand with heartache. She did not know how much pain he had endured in the past, but from now on, she would help him break the curse. She firmly told Shalahan, I swear, leave the matter of the curse to me. Shalahan had never been treated so gently before, and for a moment, he did not know what to say. He could not understand why Letty was not afraid of him at all. Whenever others saw his rotting skin, their expressions changed dramatically, and they avoided him at all costs. Logically speaking, after smelling this stench, she should have felt sick and nauseous, but she not only did not. Instead, she looked at him with eyes overflowing with love. Even his selfish greed seemed insignificant by comparison. Seeing Letty about to cast magic again, Shalahan hurriedly stopped her, grabbing her wrist and pulling her closer. "Mage, I told you to stop." As he wrapped the bandages back on, he told her not to push herself anymore. Letty explained that her spiritual power was insufficient right now, so she had only been checking the situation. Although his left hand already looked almost healed, some purification magic still remained there. She gently wiped away the sweat that had seeped out from forcing herself to use magic. "It seems like your body is continuously being purified, but before your left hand fully returns to normal, that power cannot yet move to other parts of your body and continue the purification. Listen," Letty told him not to worry. "Before I die, I will definitely take responsibility and cure you." Shalahan did not react at first. "Before you die," realizing she had let it slip, Letty quickly drank a few mouthfuls of water to cover it up. "What I mean is, I will cure you as soon as possible. Just trust me." Shalahan did not think too much about it, and only hesitantly asked the doubt in his heart. "Aren't you afraid of me?" Letty burst out laughing. "Why would I be afraid of you?" Then she thought of Shalahan's nickname, the Ghost of War. When defeat in the war had already been decided, it was you who turned the tide and snatched victory. Calling you a hero who saved the nation would not be an exaggeration, yet they still gave you that kind of nickname. This must be a conspiracy by the royal family. The Empire's greatest swordsman. That is the true praise. And besides, the truly frightening one is obviously the person who cast the curse, yet everyone is afraid of you. The one who is cursed. Isn't that just victim blaming? I think the one who should truly pay the price is the person who cast the curse." Every word Letty said was sincere, like a gentle drizzle. Little by little, it nourished the long-withered heart inside Shalahan. These were words he had never heard before, and warmth he had never felt before. Just then, Letty leaned slightly forward and cupped Shalahan's reddening cheeks with both hands. It was like comforting him, and also like acting spoiled. "I'm not afraid of you. I'm just a little afraid that you won't date me." With the atmosphere this good, and the sweet words this moving, if it were an ordinary person, they would probably slowly lean in, and then share a deep kiss. But our Shalahan was clearly not within the realm of ordinary people. "Please let go of me." As he said that, he turned his flushed face away, leaving only Letty awkwardly apologizing. She savored the lingering touch on her fingertips and could not help rubbing them over and over. "His face is so soft, so squishy." Shalahan stood up, said, "See you at dinner at 7. And then fled like he was escaping. She threw herself onto the man with the courage from alcohol, but all she wanted in return was a kiss. But the man was clearly no longer satisfied with just that. "You should stop while you're ahead." Letty lovingly took hold of Shalahan's hand. "Help me take it off." As the distance between the two grew closer and closer, their hearts thumped wildly, almost leaping out of their throats. The man quickly pulled his hand back and asked in disbelief whether Letty was drunk, but she slapped a hand onto his firm chest. The next second, she pushed him down onto the sofa. Then she pressed her whole body over him and looked down at him from above. "How about we finish what we didn't finish that time?" That bewitching voice made Shalahan blush furiously. He kept telling himself over and over to endure it. Letty was drunk. Feeling the girl's hands wandering lightly over him, he felt that the string of his reason was about to snap. Panicked. "Please move away, Letty." The girl gave a sly smile. "Then you have to agree to one request of mine." "What request?" Shalahan's mind was practically overflowing with dirty thoughts. When he heard the girl say that she only wanted a kiss, he kept repeating to himself, "Letty is drunk. Just one kiss is enough." His large hand came up to cup the girl's soft cheek as he slowly leaned in. "Then you must keep your promise." Letty closed her eyes expectantly, his warm breath seeming already close at hand. Yet what finally landed was only a kiss on her cheek. Even so, this was already a breakthrough for Shalahan. Blushing, he asked her, "Is that okay?" Letty turned to stone on the spot. "We're not playing house here." She went forward and held his handsome face, and amid the man's startled cry, she kissed him deeply. It was as if time stood still at that moment, until Letty finally laughed in satisfaction. She looked smugly at the man whose whole face had turned red from the kiss. "Now that's what you call a kiss." And at this moment, Shalahan finally lost control completely. He abruptly got up. Then, with one movement, he pinned the girl down onto the sofa. But faced with his forceful counterattack, Letty slowly closed her eyes. And then she even started snoring. The man who had been so thoroughly teased was stunned on the spot. In the end, he could only sit up awkwardly. What even was this mess? Early the next morning, Letty came over full of energy, but the one who greeted her was an exhausted-looking Shalahan. Seeing her smile so innocently and ask when she had fallen asleep, the man was rendered speechless. "She kept me up all night, and she actually forgot all about it." In truth, he would never have guessed that Letty was only pretending to forget because she was embarrassed. "I actually hold my liquor pretty well, but maybe because it was a cocktail, this hangover was especially bad." Shalahan did not want to hear any of that. All he knew was that his first kiss had been stolen, and the other party had actually forgotten it. Darkly, he warned her not to drink with anyone else ever again. Letty was startled. "What? Why?" "Everyone says I behave pretty well when drunk." The man's expression became even darker. "Everyone? How interesting." He pressed further, asking who she had drunk with. Could it have been an ex-boyfriend? The girl was aggrieved too. "You clearly have lots of lovers yourself." Stan suddenly knocked and came in. "Miss, the priest has arrived." Letty's scalp instantly went numb. Why did he have to come at a time like this? She could not help secretly glancing at Shalahan, only to see the air pressure around him sink and his fists clench. Take him to the reception room. Ha, whatever, I don't care anymore. When she ran off to see Dasha, he was waiting there leisurely. His smile was the same as before. Long time no see. Letty apologized for not being able to stop him from being thrown out last time, but Dasha did not mind at all. He even reached out and patted her head to comfort her. You didn't do anything to wrong me. If you really feel sorry, then next time, you can come find me instead. This place is just too oppressive. He also had not expected the Duke to be a little cute. He was actually keeping an eye on him. Letty hoped they could use a different posture during treatment in the future. I have a lover now, so interacting with you like that still feels a little. Hearing the girls say that with his own ears, Dasha felt very displeased inside, but he could only smile and agree. In that case, the efficiency will be a little lower, but you should care a little about me too. Are you going to abandon your friend for love? A gentle light slowly spread out, and the treatment began. Letty apologized again and explained that she did not mean it that way. Then would you like to go to the library with me? The girl thought that going to the library together as friends was not a problem at all, so she quickly agreed. It just so happens that Shalahan seems to be busy, so let's go. Hearing that, Dasha immediately beamed with joy. As long as they left the estate, they could avoid the servant's surveillance, and if the Duke cared about his reputation, presumably he would not follow them. But in the very next second, he was slapped in the face by reality. Then I'll go too. The two of them turned around at the same time and saw that gloomy face right there. Is there a problem? Dasha was speechless for a moment. He had not expected the Duke to have already thrown away even this much dignity. And Shalahan was still brooding over the fact that his first kiss had been forgotten. What's more, even though she knew he would be jealous, Letty still wanted to go to the library with another man. An invisible confrontation quietly unfolded between these two exceptional men. Only the girl caught in the middle looked utterly confused. Dasha was the first to break the silence and bowed to the Duke. But Shalahan deliberately ignored him and kept his gaze only on Letty. To break the awkwardness, the girl had no choice but to speak. Aren't you busy with work? Being with you is more important than work. Although she had already been struck by his devastatingly handsome face countless times, at this moment, facing his smile, she still had no resistance at all. Letty's little face instantly flushed red, and it felt as if the only thing left in the world was the pounding sound of her heartbeat. So, may I go with you? Dasha had not expected the Duke to react like this. He could only grit his teeth and nod in agreement. Of course, you may. It would be my honor. Although his beauty was extremely lethal to Letty, when it came to the Duke, he was ignored once again. Shalahan turned and instructed Stan to prepare the carriage. The old butler was overjoyed inside. Well done. And so the three of them got into the carriage together. Only Letty sat there happily imagining, if only my friend and my lover could become good friends, then we could all hang out together. Meanwhile, Dasha turned his head toward the window, inexplicably seized by a feeling that he should not have come. It was not until he saw the imperial palace in the distance that he suddenly realized their destination was the royal library, and there were many people in the royal family who knew him. If his true identity were discovered, it would be a disaster. So he had no choice but to say that there was still something at the temple he needed to take care of. He had to hurry back at once. Although Letty felt a little regretful, she turned around and started giggling foolishly again. We're going on a library date. Then she quietly took hold of Shalahan's hand. Inside the spacious carriage, only the two of them remained now. The man kept warning himself, I am not a beast. I am a human. Anyway, we're just going to the library. What could possibly happen? When they arrived at the library, Letty could not help complaining, Shalahan, could you hold my hand a little tighter? You're practically letting go. But the man felt that her hand was so small and soft that it seemed like it would break if he used even a little force. But coming here had originally been Dasha's suggestion, so Letty herself did not even know what she was supposed to do. She had only planned to stroll around casually, but Shalahan followed her around like a little tail the entire time. Although he really did look cute like that, she still hoped he would stop following her around all the time. So she wrapped her arms around the man's neck and whispered softly, go look for a book you want to read. The sudden hug made Shalahan's face turn red instantly. Do you have to talk to me like this? Because this is a library. All right, go find a book now. Letty ran off happily. She felt that the library really did have its own kind of romance. For example, this feeling was truly heart-fluttering. So she pretended to reach for a book on a high shelf, constantly rising on tiptoe and flailing. She thought, Shalahan should come help me now. A shadow suddenly fell over her. The tiny Letty turned around with her heart pounding, but the face that met hers was a greasy pig-like face. The man even shamelessly cornered her against the wall. Get lost. I do not need your help. Still unwilling to give up, she reached out again. At last, the person she had really been waiting for arrived. Letty asked guiltily, did you see all that? Shalahan knowingly asked, see what? The way you deliberately chose that book on the high shelf, or the scene where you threatened another man to get lost. Letty, having been exposed, blushed all at once. But the man leaned close to her and said in a low voice, I am very satisfied. From now on, treat other men like that. But Letty could not help worrying that if he saw how affected and contrived she was acting, what if he ran away? That is what I should be worried about. But if you really do run away, I will definitely find you. At such close range, with warm breath between them, Letty's heart pounded wildly. I will not run away. Bewitched just like that, She gave an answer with no foresight whatsoever. It was indeed a novel experience. After their library date ended, Letty and Shalahan were planning to go back and eat brownies. But suddenly, they were interrupted by a voice. When they turned around, the person who had come was actually her brother, Leon. Seeing him bow to the Duke, Letty instantly grew tense. Why is Leon here? What does he want to say to me now? Could it be that he wants to humiliate me in front of Shalahan? Letty's strong sense of pride made her unwilling to let the man see how her family treated her, and even more unwilling to make him pity her because of it. So she told him to go back first. I will talk with my brother for a bit and leave afterward. Shalahan had wanted to wait for her, but she refused him on the grounds that it would take a long time. In the end, he could only nod helplessly. Watching the man walk away, Leon let out a sneering laugh and completely showed his true face. You only survived by acting cute in front of that monster Duke, didn't you? Hearing him insult Shalahan like that, Letty immediately furrowed her brows and warned him to watch his mouth, or he would be buried in the back garden of the palace. Leon accused her of bringing shame to the Blanche family. Mother is bettered because of you. Yet you are surviving by currying favor with that monster Duke. You might as well obediently come home. What can someone like you possibly accomplish after running away from home? Whatever. Your family's problems are yours to solve. Rejected, Leon instantly flew into a rage from humiliation. He raised his hand and viciously slapped Letty across the face. The force was so great that it knocked the girl straight to the ground. Their argument quickly drew a crowd. He hit me. Why did I run away from home in the first place? How dare he hit me? But Leon still refused to stop. As my sister, you are not allowed to be more outstanding than me, and you are even less allowed to climb above me. Letty looked at him coldly. Using magic inside the Imperial Palace would only make things more troublesome. And if a scene broke out here, word would reach Shalahan. She did not want him to know that she had been hit by her family. That was just too humiliating. She would make sure this family line ended with him. One kick meant to end his bloodline. It landed directly on the target. Looking down at her brother, who was trembling all over in pain, Letty was very satisfied. After all, it would not kill him. At that moment, the buzz of the surrounding crowd's discussion reached her ears. Only then did she belatedly feel embarrassed, and she turned and ran off in a flash. But she did not go back. Instead, she went to a clinic. She waited for more than 2 hours before a priest finally arrived. The other party took only one look. Your bone has already developed a crack. Her swollen red cheek had not been completely healed, but that was already the limit of that woman's ability. Letty had not expected a low-ranking priest's ability to be so poor, but she no longer had the money to receive treatment from a high-level healer. But going to see Shalahan looking like this would be far too embarrassing, so what was she supposed to do? Just when she was feeling helpless, a hand gently rested on her shoulder. It was Charbet, the owner of the clothing shop. She could see that Letty seemed to be hiding something difficult to speak about, but she did not ask further. Instead, she invited her to sit for a while in her shop. Thanks to you, many dresses in our shop have been sold. I had originally wanted to give you a gift, and since I happened to meet you today, come and accept it. Not long after, Charbet put a newly arrived veil on Letty. In my line of business, I meet many people, and every one of them has a story of their own. Miss Blanche, you have probably had a very difficult day today as well, but I still hope that your day can end in comfort. Letty had not expected that she would be hurt by the family closest to her, and instead receive comfort from a stranger. Until now, she had actually never truly met Charbet before, because Charbet was very close to the Imperial Princess, and the Imperial Princess had once been engaged to Leon, but broke off the engagement after meeting him a few times. What should have been an awkward relationship instead gradually became closer because she had left the Blanche family. By the time Letty returned to the Duke of Candel's residence, the estate was already in chaos. Stan's excessively enthusiastic reaction made her shrink back slightly, and she had not expected everyone to welcome her like this. A loud bang came from inside the room, and Shalahan came rushing over in long strides. His eyes were filled with worry. The sight made Letty unconsciously clench her hand. When he strode up in front of her, she lied and said that she had simply not seen her family for too long and had stayed a bit longer, and then stopped by the clothing shop on the way, which was why she had returned late. I was very worried about you. Then let us go back. But just as he took Letty's hand, he noticed her slightly reddened cheek. In an instant, his whole body was wrapped in fury. What happened to this wound? Who dared touch your face? Letty instantly felt a chill run down her spine. Before she could think of what to say, Shalahan had already spoken. Is this a bruise from a fall? Or from a fist? Less than half a day after being hit, you received treatment from a low-ranking healer, but it looks like it had almost no effect. Hearing him state the cause and sequence of events so accurately, Letty could not help shivering. How on earth did he know? Then she remembered how easily he had severed her former fiancé's arm before. If you know who did it, will you hurt him? Shalahan lifted a strand of the girl's hair, his gaze icy cold. How could I possibly let him off so easily? Letty hurriedly grabbed him. I am sorry for making you worry. I will handle this matter myself. This was her own matter, and she did not want to waste what little time she had left on something like this. The man could only pretend to compromise and said that he would invite a priest to come and properly treat her. Seeing the smile that appeared on the girl's face, he only felt even more heartbroken, but that did not mean he would let that person go. Shalahan called for the captain of the shadow troop, Renoj, and ordered him to find out who had laid hands on Letty, what happened after I left, and what happened on the Blanche family side. The next day, Dasha, as the next pope, was attending the most important meeting of the year, one attended only by great priests and high-ranking priests. Joshua pushed the door open and said that he had something to say to Lord Mihai. Can you not see that we are in a meeting? Even if he is the next pope, should he not discipline his servants properly? Dasha's face, however, was full of mockery. Yes, seeing how you point fingers at me like this, I really should discipline my servants properly. The man who had spoken was so angry that his whole body trembled, but Dasha acted as if he saw nothing and beckoned to Joshua. A message has come from the Kandel household. The healing mage is unwell. Please come over. Without the slightest hesitation, he stood up directly. I have other matters to attend to, so I will excuse myself first. Faced with the man's loud rebuke, he merely smiled disdainfully. Only after the door had closed did several people in the room reveal their dissatisfaction, especially the man who had lost face. He seemed to have already begun planning a new scheme. Meanwhile, the disguised Dasha quickly arrived at the ducal residence. From a distance, he saw Letty already waiting. The smile that instantly bloomed across the girl's face made it seem as though flowers had blossomed all over the courtyard. He crossed the distance to her in a few steps and gently cupped her reddened cheek, his expression gradually turning grave. Who did this? Could it be Duke Kandel? Letty hurriedly explained. He would never do such a thing. True. If he were the one who hit you, you would not possibly still be alive right now. Dasha slowly leaned closer. Then who is it? Seeing that the girl did not dare meet his eyes. She was a woman protected by the next pope and the ghost of war. Who exactly dared lay a hand on her? The fact that she will not tell me only makes it more interesting. I can find out myself. But Duke Kandel will handle this matter, so I am afraid it is not my turn yet. Sensing the girl's cautious expression as she watched him, he decided not to keep pressing. After all, they were the only ones capable of healing each other. If she were injured or disappeared, it would be very troublesome for him as well. Dasha placed the magical bracelet he had prepared onto Letty's wrist. When she learned that the bracelet contained divine power and also had healing effects, the girl could not help exclaiming, "This must be very expensive, right?" It was so valuable that she simply could not bear to wear it. She thanked him with a face full of emotion and felt sorry that she had prepared nothing for him. There is no need to apologize. Just play with me next time. Those words were sincere on Dasha's part. When the girl encountered danger, that bracelet would summon him to her. He was the one who had deceived her, so the one who truly ought to feel sorry was actually him. Meanwhile, Shalahin was buried in study in his own study. By chance, he saw one line among the text. If physical contact progresses too quickly, it can easily make someone feel tired of you. He immediately treated it like a great enemy. In his mind, there instantly appeared an image of Letty looking indifferent and breaking up with him. The witch's curse seemed to echo in his ears once again. Who would ever like a monster like you? No, I cannot let Letty leave. No matter what method I use, I cannot let her leave me. The treatment of his upper body began once again. Letty was very glad that this time it was in the office and not on the bed. After all, if it were on the bed, this comic would probably have to be classified as unsuitable for children. She did not notice that Shalahin, who was receiving treatment, had been enduring her touch the entire time with all his might. After finally waiting for the treatment to end, the man immediately, hurriedly put on his clothes. He could not let her grow tired of him, nor could he use this ugly body of his to touch her. The curse gave rise to an extreme inferiority complex in him. He even felt that only this way would Letty not leave. The girl suddenly picked up her notebook and held it out in front of him. Shall we cook together? I want to try it with my lover. She was too close. He suddenly pushed away the girl who was right in front of him, but then she lightly caught his wrist. That intimate gesture made his face turn red instantly, and when the girl asked again, he could only surrender completely. Not long after, Stan had already prepared a perfect kitchen for the two of them. He did not forget to urge Shalahin to work harder and strive to get married on the spot. Letty picked up the apron on the table and suggested that Shalahin put it on. That image instantly came to mind. It seems a little small for me, but what appeared in the girl's mind was another image. But I think it would be very cute. Then I will not wear it. Let us just start cooking directly. At this moment, Shalahin seemed to be weighed down with worries. How should he put it? Should he say that his body was too terrifying, so he did not dare touch her, or that he wanted to take it slow because he was afraid she would grow tired of him? After a fierce inner struggle, he awkwardly said, "Letty, can we take it slow, okay?" After saying that, he did not even dare look at her, because saying out loud that he wanted her to stop provoking him was simply too ridiculous. Yet the girl agreed readily, which instead caught him a little off guard. But who could have expected that the two of them were not on the same wavelength at all? The cooking officially began, and since neither of them had much experience, they were obviously a little flustered and clumsy. But this did not hinder the sweetness between the young couple in the slightest. Laughter and cheerful voices filled the entire cozy space. By the time it was finally done, Letty mischievously speared a strawberry coated in chocolate sauce. She brought it straight to Shalahin's lips, and when he finally took a bite, she took the opportunity, under the pretense of wiping him clean, to slowly lean closer. You got something on the corner of your mouth, feeling that soft lick. The man's heart nearly lost control from sheer embarrassment, but the girl was quite satisfied with that reaction. What had happened between them last time after drinking did not count as a real first kiss at all. If they were to do it again, there could not be a more perfect moment than now. So she speared one for herself as well. Cunningly, she took a bite and said, "You help me wipe mine too, okay?" An ambiguous atmosphere slowly spread between them. Shalahan slowly leaned closer, but at the very last moment, he stopped himself with difficulty. His voice was full of restraint. "You're going too far. Do you not care at all?" Because he was afraid of being tired of. He was so flustered that he had no idea what to do. Could it be that I had not conveyed my wishes and urgency to her clearly enough? It felt as if I was the only one agonizing over gains and losses. It was both humiliating and painful. Under the girl's confused gaze, he picked up a handkerchief and gently wiped away the trace at the corner of her mouth. Then he threw out a hurried, "I'm going to rest first," and quickly left, leaving Letty, who still had not reacted, standing there alone in utter confusion. The next morning, after the girl finished researching how to tame wild animals, she made up her mind to have a proper talk with him, even though she had no idea why he had run away again. But if you want to get close to a wild animal, you could not let it feel frightened first. She would not let him run away again. After walking into the dining room, she saw that Shalahan did not even raise his eyelids. "You're here." She was curious how she had become a magician again. The other party pretended to read the newspaper and remained silent. "You're not angry, are you?"
"No."
"Then why are you calling me a magician?" The man quietly took a sip of coffee and gave no answer. Looking like this, he was just like a puffed up cat, and Letty immediately could not help bursting into laughter. "Sorry, it's because you're just too cute. You really do find a lot of things cute." He raised his eyes and secretly glanced at the girl. Although it was a bit childish of me to sulk with her, just because she ignored my request, that really was a little. But the moment I heard her call me cute, I actually stopped being angry right away. That's really too pathetic. Yet in Letty's eyes, that reaction only made him seem even cuter. Even if Shalahan could chop people down, he was not a bad kitty. She deliberately called to him in a sweet, affected voice, and with a crack, the handle of the teacup was crushed right off. But he still feigned composure and asked her what was wrong. "Can you tell me why you're angry?" Faced with such a simple question, Shalahan was filled with mixed emotions. If I tell the truth, maybe she will leave me out of disappointment. After all, even I think it is pathetic, so what would she think of me? Besides, Letty was someone who should have been surrounded by endless affection to begin with. Just the fact that she is willing to look at me is already enough for me to be grateful for a lifetime. But if I do not say it, I have already made her feel upset many times. Will this time make her truly tired of me? Because you did not take my request seriously. When the girl asked what request, he buried his head in the newspaper in embarrassment. That progress I talked about that day. Only then did Letty suddenly understand. "Didn't you mean the cooking progress?" "At the time, I thought you were talking about cooking. So, what you meant was the pace of physical intimacy." The moment he realized this had all been a misunderstanding, Shalahan was instantly so ashamed he wished the ground would swallow him up. "I'm sorry. I did something very stupid." That reaction only stirred up Letty's urge to tease him again, and at some point she had dragged her chair right in front of him. "My Shalahan, are you really this heartbroken just because we're progressing too fast? Where did the man who said he would not stop go?" Seeing how eager he was to erase his dark history, the girl laughed so hard, she could hardly stop. When she saw that he wanted to turn and leave again, she quickly grabbed his wrist. "Are you trying to run away again? This magician does not want to let go of you." The man's heart stirred, and in an instant he put on a pitiful expression and said shyly, "It hurts so much. Let go of me." Seeing that, the girl quickly released her hand. "Did I hurt you?" Who would have thought that in the very next second, he dashed out the door with lightning speed, leaving only Letty standing there dumbfounded. "Now you're even lying just to run away." Ever since that day when Shalahan ran away in embarrassment, Letty had always liked chasing after him and teasing him. "Can you stop getting lost and come back safely?" "Of course. While you're working, don't run away again just because you're shy." "I won't." After saying a sweet goodbye to the girl, the man got into the carriage, but the carriage went all the way out through the city gates and finally stopped in front of an abandoned house in the outskirts. He had not deliberately explained it to Letty, because hidden here was a truth the girl did not want him to know. Young Master Blanche. The splendid bandages were slowly unwrapped. The moment Leon opened his mouth, he cursed, "You bastard." Yet before he could finish, he was struck with a loud slap. "It seems your mind still isn't clear. A bastard like you actually dared to touch my person." That precious Letty, whom he could not even bear to touch, was hit by trash like this. "I do not want to kill you, but listen carefully, the reason I am sparing you is only because Letty did not allow me to deal with you." A few days later, the girl suddenly realized that she had been so busy teasing Shalahan that she had forgotten they had made no progress at all for quite a while. Now there are only 10 weeks left on the contract. Do I really still have a chance? So she directly asked the man, "That taking it slow you talked about, just how slow is slow?" Shalahan became shy again. I hope it can be as slow as possible. Letty instantly felt a headache coming on. How much slower could it possibly get? She still refused to give up. But I want to do that with you right away. Clang. The plate shattered in response. The maid serving nearby trembled in fright. Stan appeared in time to clear the room. Everyone out. This concerns the continuation of the family line. As soon as the door shut, the room immediately fell silent. Shalahan averted his gaze. Which one do you mean? All of them. A piece of bread was shoved straight into her mouth. The man was so flustered that cold sweat streamed down his back. Terrified, she would say something even more shockingly explicit. After hesitating for a moment, he slowly said, "You also know that my body is rotting because of the curse. It is ugly and terrifying. It would not be strange at all to call me a monster. So for me, it is still very difficult to have intimate physical contact with you right now." He was too afraid that the girl would be scared away by this version of himself, so he would rather bear this pain alone. But after hearing it, Letty did not retreat. Then it can't be helped. I'll just have to help treat you even more seriously. I'll just have to work even harder to purify your curse. Since you care so much about it, I'll work harder to purify it for you, so that you won't feel troubled anymore, and can touch me more easily too. The moment he heard those words, a surge of warmth rose in Shalahan's heart. It was as if ripples had gently spread across the lake of his heart. An indescribable feeling quietly arose. Could this be love? After going back, Letty knew she had to help purify him as soon as possible. But even the upper half of his body had not been fully purified yet. How hard it must have been for Shalahan to endure such a curse all this time. Just dating me is already hard enough for him. Yet when she thought that, she suddenly realized something was wrong. And when she connected it with the man's previous behavior, could it be that I am his first relationship partner? With the deadline approaching, what she wanted was not a heavy and sincere love. What she wanted was the kind of light romance in her mind that lasted only 3 months. So for that, she decided to confirm it. Thus the next day, Letty went to find Stan. "It's nothing major. I just want to ask about Shalahan." The moment he heard that the young lady was interested in the Duke, the old butler immediately rubbed his hands together secretly. "What would you like to know? His property and power, or the happy life of becoming the Duchess?" When he learned it was not about those things, he was even a little disappointed. The girl hesitated before asking, "Am I Shalahan's first romantic partner?" Facing this fatal question, Stan knew full well that for the sake of future descendants, he had to answer seriously. Haha, so he kindly lied. "Of course not. Although I don't know the details, probably not." After getting the answer she wanted, Letty also became happy. After giving a respectful bow, she left humming a little tune. Noticing the figure not far ahead, the man had just turned around when he saw the girl already descending from the sky. She landed steadily in his arms. After being put down, Letty stared at him with bright eyes. Then she opened her arms. "Hug me. Didn't you say hugging was okay? Come on, today's hug." It turned out that after they had cleared things up last time, the two of them had agreed to hug every day. But the hallway is too open, and there are too many people. Next time, before he could finish, the whole person was already taking off on the spot. The door was shut. The two of them were pressed tightly together. Wouldn't hugging here work too? In the quiet room at this moment, amid the soft lingering fragrance, Shalahan no longer hesitated. He tightly pulled the girl into his embrace. The goal had been achieved, but the girl who had been grinning just moments ago suddenly felt her scalp go numb the next second. She deliberately pressed herself firmly against him and even rubbed against him. What is that? Did he bring a sword? Apparently not. Stimulated by the girl, the man could not help trembling and pushed her away at once. Trying desperately to suppress himself, he said, "That's enough." Letty was still smiling brightly. Although she had not hugged enough yet, she was already very satisfied. Shalahan let out a long sigh of relief, thinking he had not been noticed. But the girl quietly wiped away the nosebleed that was about to come out. What a hot-blooded young man. Looks like there is no need to worry about the curse on his lower body. The deflated man awkwardly changed the subject. "You've been wearing this bracelet a lot lately. Pretty, right? It was a gift from Dasha." The girl instantly realized she had let something slip, and the man had already begun burning with jealousy. He really should have dealt with that tent earlier and devoted himself fully to external business. But the book said that if one wanted lasting happiness, one had to restrain jealousy. He could not forgive himself for being hated by Letty. The girl did not know that at this moment, his mind was in total turmoil. She was only so frightened by his ashen face that cold sweat broke out all over her. "Don't misunderstand. Dasha gave this to me for my health. It's a bracelet enchanted with divine power magic." Shalahan struggled to force out an expression resembling a smile. "I didn't misunderstand. Of course friends can give each other gifts." Little did she know, that smile of his looked even worse than crying. But in order to keep the girl by his side, he could only force himself to act generous. Against his true feelings, he told the girl that while he was busy, she could go find friends to pass the time. In exchange, he received a deeply moved look from her, and she happily threw herself into his arms once again. You're the best. Yet the bitterness in his heart was something he could only swallow alone. Shalahan was clearly in a hurry to rush to the palace for a meeting, yet he still awkwardly didn't want to leave. Letty even thought he needed to use the bathroom urgently. Who knew? He took out a box instead. He personally put a diamond hairpin on the girl. This is a gift for you. It's very beautiful, and it suits you very well. His large hand gently brushed aside the loose strands of hair by her ear. At the same time, it also softly stirred the girl's budding heart. So he was bothered by the bracelet after all. How cute. The atmosphere was gradually heating up, but it was suddenly interrupted by the coachman's voice. Aren't you leaving yet? The two were instantly full of embarrassment. You should go to the meeting. I should go to the meeting. Just as he was about to turn and leave, the next second, he pulled the girl tightly into his arms again. This is today's hug. Then, with his face completely flushed, he hurriedly ran off. Before long, Dasha arrived. He noticed the hairpin on the girl's head at a glance. He just didn't understand why she looked so happy. During the treatment, Letty suggested going out together. Won't your lover mind? He had heard that the other person trusted her very much. For no reason, Dasha began to feel irritated. After the treatment ended, the two went into the city and ate desserts together and went shopping together. Letty even took the initiative to say she would treat him. Of course. After all, you treated me last time, so this time it's my turn. Of course, whatever you want, I can buy it for you. Then I want that bracelet we saw last time. The girl felt that it was really too cheap, but the man said that she had helped him choose it, so that was the one he liked. In the end, they still bought it. Dasha deliberately fumbled around and pretended he couldn't put it on himself. And sure enough, the girl stepped forward to help him. Thank you. It looks beautiful. He was curious about the gift bag in the girl's hand, and when he learned that it was a gift for her lover, his mood instantly sank. So it wasn't just for me alone. The man suddenly brought up something. Speaking of which, a strange rumor has been going around recently. Worried that what had happened between herself and Leon before had been brought up, the girl felt a little guilty. What is it? I heard that not long ago, Duke Candel broke Marquis Segra's arm in the theater because he tried to make improper advances toward the Duke's female companion. That female companion was you, wasn't it, miss? Hearing this, the girl nodded awkwardly and admitted it. But in her heart, she began to worry about what would happen if her parents found out. They would definitely hold Shalahan accountable for taking her away. The more she thought about the possibility that they might make some excessive demands, the more frightened she became. Her face gradually turned pale as well. A warm, large hand moved close to her. Look at me. Are you alright? The girl averted her gaze. I'm fine. You don't need to worry. She turned her head to hide her embarrassment. We clearly came out to have fun. But the man's eyes were sincere, and his tone was extremely earnest. Nothing will happen. Believe me. Don't let appearances fool you, but I am your personal priest, miss. Didn't you say you were only a lower-ranking priest? The man burst into laughter at once. So, that's how little you think of me? Then even if I've been wronged, I'll have to hurry and get promoted to a full priest. The girl was finally amused into laughter, and the knot in her heart seemed to ease a little as well. You have to believe me. No matter when, I will protect you. Just as the two were immersed in laughter, the wall beside them suddenly cracked, then collapsed with a thunderous crash, and came smashing down toward the two of them on the ground. At the critical moment, Letty opened a magic barrier. She had only learned the basics of protective magic, so the chance of both of them surviving right now was almost zero. Anyway, I am someone who is going to die soon, but you are not. As long as she layered the magic again and again, there was a chance she could save him, or maybe she wouldn't be able to save him at all. And as for me, I would only be bringing my death forward by 2 months. In that instant, she thought of Shalahan. If she died, who else could purify his curse for him? Seeing that her life was about to reach its final moment, Dasha suddenly stepped in front of her. After the dust settled, the commotion here drew a crowd of onlookers. A black shadow suddenly flashed through them. Letty slowly opened her eyes. She saw a broken stone suspended in midair. I didn't die. Faced with a sudden reproach from the man before her, she smiled instead. You weren't hurt. Dasha was already so choked up that he couldn't speak, but the girl still reminded him not to move recklessly. If the magic weakened and the rubble fell, you would be buried in the ruins. I've been casting magic the whole time, so don't worry. He stood up in disbelief. He raised his hand and kept the rubble suspended. With a casual wave, the chunks of stone fell one after another to the side with clattering sounds. Why would you do something so stupid? What are you talking about? Why did you only cast protective magic on me? The girl did not understand why he was angry. She did not have long to live, so of course, she would make such a choice. But she didn't want anyone to know about this, because you are my friend. Hearing this, Dasha felt she was simply crazy. They had only met a few times, yet she had risked her life to protect him. He did not believe in any kindness, nor did he believe in the spirit of self-sacrifice. Everyone was merely pretending to be kind for their own selfish interests. But why you? If you are willing to sacrifice your own life to protect me, what exactly can you gain? Would you really devote yourself to me wholeheartedly? Letty clapped her hands to interrupt him. In any case, both of us survived. which is truly fortunate, and neither of us was hurt. You were actually able to fling away the wreckage of a building, so you'll be promoted to demi-priest soon, right? Looking at the girl forcing a smile with heartache, Dasha worried that she might be injured. What about you? You've been using magic to protect me the whole time, so of course you're fine. Seeing that she was clearly hurt yet acting as if nothing had happened, he felt even more irritated. While healing her, he reminded her that she had almost lost her life just now. Hearing this, however, the girl didn't take it seriously. After all, everyone dies someday. Miss, you must not die. Do you think I would just stand by and watch you die? He could tolerate her thinking about someone else in front of him. After all, there would be plenty of time and many opportunities in the future. But without his permission, she was not allowed to die. You are not allowed to let yourself get hurt so casually again. Thinking that Dasha was only this agitated because he had been too badly frightened, Letty nodded and agreed. And the man glanced at the ruins behind him. Even if it was an old building in disrepair, it could not possibly have collapsed without any warning. He had already made a judgment in his heart. How audacious. It was the first time the girl had seen such a sharp look in Dasha's eyes. And only then did she suddenly realize, could he also be the kind of person who was different inside and out? Sure enough, everyone has a complicated side to their humanity. In any case, it was already a blessing from heaven that no one had been hurt. By the time they returned to the Duke's residence, it was already dark, and Letty's body was still trembling slightly. The moment she saw Shalahan, whom she had been longing for, she immediately ran to his side like a little rabbit, hopping as she went. You're back so early today. As for today's hug, although they had already had one in the morning, that did not hinder them in the slightest from embracing tightly once again. But unexpectedly, the next second, the man's expression suddenly darkened. Did something happen today? For example, did you run into some kind of accident? Smelling the faint scent of dust on Letty, Shalahan immediately sensed that something must have happened to her. To avoid unnecessary trouble, and also because she did not want the other person to worry, the girl could only lie and say that she had accidentally fallen on the road. It was just a little scrape, and Dasha already treated me. But the man was still worried, and carefully checked the girl all over, only reluctantly letting it go after confirming that she was truly uninjured. Did you have fun today? Very fun. Extremely fun. But compared to all that, I still prefer being with you. Letty immersed herself in the joy of teasing Shalahan. Thinking back on everything that had happened today, she also made up her mind that she had to help him purify the curse as soon as possible. She knew better than anyone how painful this curse really was, and more than anyone, she hoped that he could truly live happily. At the moment when she had almost been crushed to death by the wreckage, she had finally realized that if she were gone, Shalahan would only be able to go on living alone while bearing the curse. That was something she could never accept no matter what. So even though yesterday, in order to protect Dasha, she had already exhausted all her spiritual power, she still decided to remove this curse as soon as possible. It was just that, in the end, she had still pushed herself too hard. Suppression and purification had only just begun not long before, and she was already trembling slightly from excessive spiritual exhaustion. Shalahan quickly noticed that something was wrong, grabbed her hand, and forcibly made her stop. At this moment, Letty's face was pale and bluish, and cold sweat kept breaking out across her forehead and body. In the end, she could no longer hold on and collapsed directly into the man's arms. Hearing the girl murmur softly that she was cold, Shalahan immediately stood up, wanting to get something to cover her with. After learning that she wanted to take a hot bath, he at once picked her up and had the maid prepare the bath. But the girl was only willing to let someone she trusted help her bathe. She even took the initiative to ask him to help her bathe. At this, shameful images instantly surfaced in the man's mind, and even the tips of his ears turned red. But faced with the girl's seemingly pure-hearted request, along with that pale face of hers, he ultimately decided not to retreat anymore. After all, Letty was suffering like this because she wanted to help purify him. Besides, she had also said that she would keep her clothes on. But when it really came time for the bath, he still silently added another layer of precaution, even if it was only for the sake of his own hot-blooded self. He absolutely could not cross the line even half a step further. Seeing him like this, the girl immediately felt a little dissatisfied. She had only just grabbed the man's arm when she saw him suddenly stand up, as if he would flee the very next second. If you run away again this time, then I will run far away too. Hearing the girl's warning, Shalahan's expression changed instantly. Even the atmosphere around them seemed to become oppressive at that moment, making one shiver involuntarily. Do you mean that sincerely? He looked at the girl coldly, as if he would swallow her whole the very next second. It sent chills down one's spine. In order to end this frightening atmosphere as quickly as possible, Letty quickly clapped her hands and explained that she meant running away and hiding inside the residence, like playing hide and seek. Although this explanation was far from perfect, it still successfully soothed the man. Because of that unintentional angry remark, the man had even already figured out what kind of knot he should use to tie her up. But the girl only thought he was joking. Seeing Shalahan return to the way she was familiar with, the girl suddenly had the urge to tease him him again. She spoke tenderly and proposed that he help wash a part of her that she wanted him to. Hearing this, the man's face instantly turned red as expected. Then he immediately began to break out in a cold sweat again. Bathe her? Help her bathe? Was it really the kind of bathing he thought it was? Only when the girl added that she meant washing her hair did he finally calm down with difficulty, caught between relief and regret. The girl's pink long hair was soft and smooth. The man tended to it carefully, as if treating a treasure. But just then, he noticed the scar beneath her hair, and then asked in a low voice what had happened. It turned out that it had been left when her brother pushed her down the stairs when she was little. But not only did he fail to apologize, he even turned around and accused her first, saying that she had struck him first. And their biased parents also chose, without hesitation, to believe her brother. Not only did they fail to comfort the injured girl, they even harshly scolded her. After learning the truth, Shalahin immediately felt a sharp pain in his heart. The girl he held so dearly in his palms had once been treated like that by her own family. If I had known it was like this, I should have directly crippled that bastard's hand back then. Hearing Letty continue that later her parents even locked the young her inside a room. The helpless girl looked at the tightly shut door and could only beg over and over for them to open it. But her mother said that this was to temper her patience, which was why she was being punished like this. So she could only endure it in silence. And this incident was merely the most insignificant one among all the unfair things the girl had suffered from childhood to adulthood. She had long since become used to experiences like this. So when she told the man about these things, she did not appear particularly sad. Instead, she even took the opportunity to joke about the color of her hair. There were even people before who said that looking at my hair color for too long would make their eyes hurt. The man immediately pressed to know who had said such outrageous nonsense, even looking as though he was about to go cut out that person's tongue at once. The girl was amused into a laugh by him, but silently reminded herself in her heart that no matter what, she absolutely could not let him know that that person was her former fiancé, whose hands he had already cut off. So you do like my hair color? The girl smiled brightly and radiantly. That smile actually left the man staring blankly. It wasn't just her hair color. Everything about her was so wonderful that he could not bear to touch her with too much force. But the girl went a step further and suggested that he kiss whatever part of her he found beautiful. Shalahin's body could not help but tremble slightly, feeling the warmth coming from her body, along with the ambiguous temptation brought by that damp, moist aura. He actually hesitated for a brief moment, because there was not a single part of her that was not beautiful. Could it be that he was supposed to kiss her all over? You can start with the place you most want to kiss. Hearing the girl remind him like this, the man slowly raised his hand and gently gathered her hair. And the place he wanted to kiss most was, from beginning to end, still the girl's lips, because that was the most direct way for lovers to express their love. This kiss was deep and lingering, and even the air in the bathroom seemed to grow warmer little by little with the steam. Who knows how much time passed before the two finally parted. Both of their cheeks were flushed, and their heartbeats were growing faster and faster. But Letty knew that this was already Shalahin's limit, so she simply cupped his face. You've already done very well. It was like comfort, and also like a promise. Next time, let's kiss again. A few days later, under the pretense of a date, Shalahin wanted to take Letty to buy new clothes again. The two were joking and laughing when suddenly, Gerard of the Shadow Knights sent a distress signal. The man promised her he would leave for a while first and come back soon. So Letty walked into Charbit's clothing store alone. But the moment she stepped inside, she saw the shop owner wearing an expression as if she wanted to speak but hesitated. Following the other woman's gaze, the girl's face instantly turned deathly pale because she saw her mother, whom she had not seen for many days, walk out from the room inside. That girl whom they now cherished so dearly had once been discarded by her family, like a worn-out shoe. Even though she had been missing for more than a month, no one had ever put up a single missing person notice for her. Faced with her mother, whose face was full of worry and who took the initiative to come forward and care about her, Letty felt nothing but coldness in her heart. If you were really worried about me, would you still be in the mood to get a luxury aroma massage and then come shopping for clothes? Her mother seemed to want to speak in her own defense, but the girl no longer wanted to listen. In all those times in the past when she could have done something, hadn't she still done nothing? Now that she stood before her again, putting on this hypocritical act, what meaning could it possibly have? Listening to her mother's painless apology, she only felt as if something was violently churning in her chest. She was really about to collapse, so she could only rush out the door without looking back. It hurt. She had thought she no longer cared long ago, but the feelings buried deep in her heart were completely beyond her control. Even though she no longer wanted to go back, she still could not help harboring a trace of hope toward them. She hated this version of herself. At that moment, someone suddenly grabbed her arm. When she turned around, it was Shalahin, equally short of breath. Seeing the tears shimmering in the girl's eyes, the man's expression instantly darkened. Who made you cry? Though his voice carried a cold, murderous intent, his fingers still gently wiped away her tears. That sight of Shalahin made Letty unable to resist wanting to rely on him any longer. She rubbed lightly against the man's palm like she was acting spoiled. I'm not crying. I just missed you so much that I ran out to find you. Though he knew the girl was lying, the man did not expose her. At this moment, All he wanted was to pull her tightly into his arms. Let's just go home today. But he did not know how luxurious the word home was to Letty. She had long since lost her home. Now she even found herself feeling fortunate that she had a terminal illness. And from then on, Shalahan sensed that Letty seemed somewhat off. Her daily hugs were no longer as proactive as before, and instead needed his verbal reminder. Even when hugging him, she no longer felt as bright and lively as before, but would listlessly go through the motions and then slowly turn away. Although he wanted very much to stay by her side all the time, because he had to attend an important meeting related to the war, he could only head to the palace with unease in his heart, silently praying that it would be good if she were willing to talk to him. But he did not want to force her. He only hoped he could wait until she opened her heart to him of her own accord. Meanwhile, Letty received a letter of apology from Charbet. As it turned out, it had been entrusted to her by her mother. After letting her leave like that last time, her mother had been regretting it ever since. Because she still had many things she wanted to say to her, she asked to meet her at 5 o'clock at a Western restaurant. Letty silently clenched the letter in her hand. She thought helplessly to herself, why was it only now that she remembered to care about her? Although she had long decided not to go back. In the end, she still went to the appointment on time. But in the face of her mother's almost fawning concern, she still could not help recalling those harsh words from the past. She was even a little curious about what exactly had caused such a great change in her mother. So she directly urged her to say what she had to say quickly. Seeing her daughter so cold, her mother's expression obviously fell. She apologized to Letty, saying that all these years she had never truly taken good care of her. Ever since her daughter left, she had been bedridden for a long time. But during that time, no one cared about her, and her father even blamed her for not fulfilling her duties as the mistress of the house. Only then did she finally understand that the person who truly cared about her was actually Letty alone. Listening to her mother's endless talking, the girl felt nothing but impatience. In the end, her mother did not even know the real reason she had been hurt. She did not want to keep wasting time anymore. I heard your apology, but I will not go back. Seeing her daughter turn to leave, her mother apologized once again in deep shame. Before Letty could understand what she meant, several large hands attacked her from behind. Before she could react, she had already been knocked unconscious. Duke Blanche had someone drag her away. To this disobedient daughter, his eyes held nothing but undisguised contempt. Hadn't I already said it? Getting a runaway daughter to come back has never depended on an apology. When Letty woke up, she had been locked in a room. Her hands were even shackled with handcuffs that could restrain magic. She never imagined that she would once again relive the nightmare of her childhood. And on top of that, she had not eaten anything since yesterday. Hungry as she was, she now did not even have the slightest strength left. So in the end, I still can't do anything after all. At that moment, a faint sound suddenly came from outside the door. The person who came was her former maid, Annie. In this cold house, perhaps only she was the one who truly cared about her. Annie told Letty that the master was very angry now, and that once day broke, he would absolutely not let her off. All of this was within the girl's expectations, so she only gave a helpless, bitter smile. Hearing that Annie planned to go ask someone for help, she quickly stopped her. What if you get hurt too? But to Annie, ever since Miss had left like that last time, she had been regretting it, regretting that she had not been able to do anything for her. I don't want to leave behind any more regrets. This time, she did not want to leave herself with regrets again. I'll go tell Mage Joel, and then I'll steal the key back. Please don't push yourself. Stay here and wait for me. Listening to the sound of her footsteps leaving, Letty felt anxious inside. She did not want even her to be dragged into this absurd punishment. But no matter how she struggled or sobbed, no one responded anymore. As the sky gradually brightened, the warm sunlight fell upon the girl. It finally allowed her exhausted spirit to slowly relax. But at that moment, the door was suddenly pushed open. Her father and brother appeared at the doorway. Seeing Leon's bruised and swollen face for some unknown reason, although she did not know why, amid her surprise, Letty still felt a trace of schadenfreude. Her father said that locking her up was meant to make her reflect, but now it seemed she still showed no remorse. The girl struggled to stand up. Why should I reflect? I didn't do anything wrong. The man strode forward and looked down at her as he retorted, you didn't do anything wrong? The next second, with a loud smack, a slap landed hard across the girl's face. It made her whole body tremble, but it was not over yet. He grabbed her by the shoulders, and then, against her already red and swollen cheek, he struck her hard with another slap. In this family, you still dare say that you did nothing wrong? At that moment, lightning flashed and thunder roared outside the window, as if even the heavens were condemning what this family had done to their own daughter. Looking at Letty collapsed on the ground, the Duke stepped forward and coldly rebuked her. I spent so much money raising you, and yet you dared run away from home and go to that monster's house, making your father suffer utter humiliation. And that monster even turned your brother's face into this state. Until you fully reflect on yourself, don't even think about getting out of here. The sneer on Leon's face was even more undisguised. Facing his beaten sister, he felt nothing but satisfaction. Look at you now. Do you know how much humiliation I suffered because of you? Letty glared coldly at this bully who preyed on the weak and feared the strong. Then came a sharp click, followed immediately by the man's heart-rending scream. She grabbed his hand and bit down on it viciously. The scream instantly filled the entire silent room. The man finally managed to break free, but before he had time to fly into a rage, he was first stunned rigid by his sister's utterly fearless aura. The girl's gaze was sharp and unafraid, as if telling everyone that even with her magic restrained, no one could trample on her at will. Leon, who had never been able to gain any advantage over her, was so frightened that he retreated again and again. He hurriedly scrambled to his feet, turned around and ran. Before leaving, he did not forget to order someone to lock the door properly. Sure enough, after staying with that monster Duke for so long, she had gone completely mad too. Teacher Joel gave the girl a faint glance. Then he silently closed the door. And at this moment, Letty had finally exhausted her last trace of strength as well. With a thud, her whole body collapsed onto the floor. At this moment, her longing for Shalahan came surging in like the tide. She missed his doting smile. She missed his warm embrace and missed every minute spent with him. Anna's voice came again from outside. "The person who can help you is downstairs now. Duke Kandel has come." Hearing these words, light instantly returned to Letty's eyes. She struggled to get to her feet. From Anna, she learned that it was indeed Teacher Joel who had secretly sent a telegram to the Duke. She hurried to the window. At a single glance, she saw downstairs that figure she had been longing for with all her heart. The moment Shalahan received the message, he rushed over, without stopping for a moment. Having not slept all night, his eyes were red, and a faint killing intent could be seen in his gaze. Duke Blanche clearly had not yet realized the severity of the situation. At Shalahan's sudden visit, he even felt a trace of resentment. Gerard was probably already burning with rage, but Shalahan still forcibly maintained his composure and only said, "I've come to take my lover home." Seeing that the other party still wanted to keep pretending to be foolish, he stepped forward and repeated word by word, "I said, I'm here to take Letty, Duke Blanche." Meeting those sharp eyes, the man finally began to feel afraid. He was not here to ask for my consent at all. Thinking of those terrifying rumors about Duke Kandel, the man suddenly realized that he seemed to have provoked the wrong person. He watched as the other man strode toward him. After all, in order to take my lover back, I was prepared long ago to disregard all consequences. The moment Letty saw him, her heart finally settled down. Shalahan was waiting for her, so she had to do something in order to reach him. She grabbed the curtain with both hands. Using all the strength in her body, she yanked it down with all her might. Then she tightly wrapped one hand in the fabric and smashed it hard against the window. Stepping on the glass shards scattered all over the floor, the girl walked onto the balcony without the slightest fear. Then she loudly shouted Shalahan's name. At the very moment he turned around, Letty had already climbed onto the railing. Then she jumped down without hesitation because she believed he would definitely catch her safely. And the instant Shalahan saw her, he immediately ran toward her. Meanwhile, Teacher Joel quietly cast a spell from the side, using magic to support the girl's falling body, letting her descend little by little slowly. In the end, she drifted lightly into the Duke's arms like a feather. Letty felt that she had finally found a harbor where she could rest. She was no longer someone with nowhere to belong. This man was the destination she would run toward even at the end of her life. But when he saw the wound on the girl's face, Shalahan's expression suddenly darkened. Who dared hurt you like this? Thinking of the girl he could not even bear to touch, being cruelly hurt once again, the fury in his heart could no longer be restrained in an instant. He turned around and looked coldly at Duke Blanche. The murderous intent, so intense it was almost tangible, made the two people opposite him tremble all over involuntarily. Except for Letty, who was protected in his arms, everything around him seemed to turn into the violent aura surging from his body. "I will kill you all," until Letty reached out and cupped his face. "Let's go. I want to go home." The girl was like the only light in his life, little by little dispelling the darkness wrapped around him, and at the same time soothing his bloodthirsty and frenzied heart. "Let's go home, back to the home that belongs to us." Her father, who had narrowly escaped death, finally snapped back to his senses. He chased after them and roared, "Where are you taking my daughter?" Shalahan did not answer. He only gave him a cold glance, while the girl, who had completely lost faith in her family, chose to ignore him. Only at this moment did her father realize that he had struck her so hard, but he had already completely lost this daughter. If Letty still had even a trace of attachment to this family, then it was probably only Anna and Teacher Joel who remained. There was naturally no need to say much about Anna. As for Teacher Joel, he had been secretly helping her for a very long time, not only secretly teaching her magic, but also always reaching out to help her when she needed it most. "Thank you so very much. I will never forget your kindness." As soon as she returned to the Duke's residence, Letty was settled onto the bed. Facing the worried-looking Shalahan, she reached out and hugged him. "Thank you for coming to get me." His eyes were full of heartache. "She was hurt this badly. It's already enough that she doesn't blame me. So how can she still thank me? When I learned that they actually dared to take you away from my side, I even thought about destroying your family completely. Deep guilt made Shalahan lower his head weakly.
I'm sorry.
I was still one step too late.
I'm sorry.
But seeing him like this gently touched the softest place in the girl's heart. She raised her hand and cupped the man's face. May I kiss you? Right now, I really want to kiss you. How could Shalahan possibly refuse such frankness from Letty? The two slowly moved closer and deeply kissed each other. Shalahan's movements were very gentle, afraid of touching the wound on the girl's face. But he still noticed her slight trembling. After parting for a brief moment, he asked in a low voice, "Does it hurt?" Who would have expected the girl to hug him tightly again? It's not enough. Don't stop. Afraid of pressing on the injuries on her body, the man simply picked the girl up in one motion and let her sit on his lap. Their breathing also gradually became rapid. Noticing the girl lean back slightly, Shalahan thought she was tired, but he still had not had enough of kissing her, so he hugged her tightly once more. "May I keep kissing you?" No matter how he kissed her, it still was not enough. If he could, he even wanted to swallow her whole into his world, from head to toe, to claim everything about her as his own, to make her someone who belonged only to him. At last, Letty could not hold back anymore and confessed, "I like you." But the next second, she herself realized that things had become bad. It turned out that she really had fallen for Shalahan, even though she knew very well that they would soon be separated, and had long known what kind of ending awaited them in the end. She still could not stop herself from falling for him, and Shalahan also made no attempt to hide his feelings. "I like you too. The feeling of missing you lingers by my pillow every night. Never before have I looked forward to tomorrow the way I do now. And for the first time, I understood that every single day could be this precious. Because of a single word from you, my heart can suddenly rise to heaven and then suddenly fall into hell. As long as I see you hurt, it feels as though my whole being has been torn into pieces. It is as if there are no words in this world that can describe my feelings anymore. So I will love you with everything I have." However, Shalahan knew very well that now was still not the right time. Although he was already on the verge of going mad, he still restrained himself desperately, only because the girl before him was someone he treasured like a jewel. He would never allow his curse to cast even the slightest shadow upon her. How could Letty possibly fail to see what he was thinking? "Fine, I'll listen to you." The ambiguous atmosphere had not yet faded, and the two were just about to go further. But Stan, who had always been the best at reading the room, suddenly barged in.
"Master, the priest has arrived."
The old butler nearly had a heart attack on the spot. Had he known this young couple was busy making a baby, he would have waited no matter what. The moment Dasha saw Letty covered in injuries, his expression instantly darkened. Who did this? Which bastard was it exactly? Seeing that the girl only gave 2 dry laughs, he sighed helplessly. "I think I told you before not to let yourself get hurt so easily. As far as I can see, you clearly did not take my words to heart." Looking at her empty wrist, Letty suddenly remembered the bracelet Dasha had given her. She awkwardly hid her wrist under the shawl. "It was too beautiful, so I couldn't bear to wear it." Looking at the injuries on her body, whose origin he did not know, his mood sank to the worst possible extreme, especially those red, swollen lips. They were particularly glaring. "Come here." He drew the girl's head over, making her press tightly against him. Healing light shone, yet he stared motionlessly at the other person, deep in thought. Could it be your lover? Before he could finish speaking, Letty had already bristled. "It's not like that. I ended up like this because I was kidnapped." Seeing that her reaction did not look like a lie, Dasha shrugged. "I didn't say anything," but inwardly, he was quite unwilling to accept it. "Kidnapped? I even said a few days ago that I would protect you. This really hurts my pride." Duke Kandel is far too useless to actually let his lover fall into danger again, and again, and yet again. The wounds faded little by little. To confirm whether she had fully recovered, he grasped Letty's arm. "Does it hurt?" The unfamiliar touch made the girl shrink back involuntarily. "It doesn't hurt." Dasha seemed not to notice. "From now on, you must always wear the bracelet. Only then will it have a healing effect." Letty touched the spot that had just been brushed, still somewhat absent-minded. But at that moment, the man suddenly leaned closer. His large hand stroked her cheek. "Your face is injured too." Feeling his hand stop on her lips, Letty hurriedly explained, "No, it's just swollen because I was hurt." How could Dasha possibly fail to tell the difference between swelling from being hit and swelling from being kissed? And precisely because of that, he wanted even more to help her recover as soon as possible, because that sight was truly too glaring. If I gave in to desire, she would probably look down on me. Still, being looked down on by her seems rather exciting, but I don't want to ruin this beautiful relationship yet. After the rest of her body had recovered, the pain in her feet instead became magnified little by little. Dasha quickly caught the exact place where the girl twitched in pain, seeing her squirm awkwardly and even falsely claim that she was already fine. He immediately understood, and the white priestly robe fluttered lightly. The white priestly robe fluttered lightly. When Letty came back to her senses, she saw that the man was already kneeling on one knee, holding her foot with both hands. "You're not thinking of just leaving it like this, are you?" He gently removed the shards of glass from her foot. Letty cried out in embarrassment. She didn't want Dasha to see her like this, because she felt that he looked like someone who had grown up being dearly loved. Of course, if she had known the environment Dasha had actually grown up in,
She would not have thought that.
as soon as she recovered physically, Letty came to Shalahan for purification. Although he was worried about her condition, he still could not resist the girl's persistent coaxing and could only obediently take off his shirt. Even though she had seen it many times already, Letty still could not help swallowing. Let's begin. To purify the upper body, one needs to remove one's clothes. Then how should the lower body be purified? Shalahan, having taken off his shirt, was far less composed than he appeared on the surface. He hesitated as he knelt onto the bed. His gaze kept darting away as well. And when he noticed the girl's flushed cheeks and her wavering eyes, the atmosphere also began to grow awkward. Letty raised her hand and gently placed it on the man's firm chest, forcing herself to concentrate. As she watched those dark marks like shattered glass gradually fade, even the skin wounds exposed like rot disappeared. The girl happily announced that the curse on the upper body had been purified. Shalahan looked at that smooth, clean patch of skin in disbelief. In this lifetime, he could actually become an ordinary person again, and his eyes could not help but redden. "Thank you so much." At this moment, the man no longer knew how to express his gratitude, and Letty seemed to understand what he was thinking, stepping forward to place a kiss. "It's still too early to thank me now, because I'll soon purify all of you completely, and the purification of the lower body will also soon." Before she could finish, she realized what kind of embarrassment was hidden in that sentence. She shyly turned around to hide it. Thinking about it that way, how should the lower body be purified? Should she make him take off his pants? She quickly pretended nothing was wrong and laughed it off, saying the next purification would take a long time. Haha. Let's rest first. In other words, they would confirm it next time. Shalahan noticed her shyness, and at the same time worried that Letty might misunderstand and think there was something wrong with him. So he stiffly explained, that part is intact. The girl did not need to ask to know what part he meant. Moreover, she had felt it more than once. That part was not merely intact. It could even be said to be quite healthy. Letty felt as though her whole body was about to boil, and after stammering for a long while, she finally said, "Then I'll go out first." Who would have thought that her stomach would inconveniently growl right at that moment? To avoid even more embarrassment, Shalahan decisively suggested eating first. After all that fussing, it was already night. Letty lay on the bed, recalling everything that had happened today. From opening her eyes at Duke Blanche's house, to breaking a window and jumping down from the second floor, to deeply kissing Shalahan, receiving treatment from Dasha, and completing the purification of the upper body. So much had happened in a single day that it was hard to believe. Although everything that had happened at the Blanche ducal estate made her angry, she was still grateful to Annie and teacher Joel for helping her. Although she really wanted to bring them here, she herself was dependent on others for shelter. So how could she do such a thing? Thinking of this, her heart ached. Why did I foolishly devote myself to my family? If she had not known that she had a terminal illness, perhaps she would have been manipulated by them for her entire life. Not to mention enjoying such a sweet romance with Shalahan. She probably would already have married Marquis Segra before even having the chance to meet him. At the thought of that unlucky face, she got goosebumps all over. Rather than live such a dreadful life, it would be 100 times happier to die like this now, after enjoying a brief life. But the problem was that precisely because she was too happy, she did not want to die. She thought of the confession they had made on this bed just now, and Shalahan's reply surfaced in her mind as well. Her ears tingled. Originally, this was only a contractual romance, but today, when she jumped down from the second floor of the Blanche ducal estate and threw herself into his arms, when he cherished her so dearly, holding her and kissing her, she realized that she had already fallen for him. She buried her face in the pillow and let out a long breath from the bottom of her heart. At the thought of Shalahan's gentle face, her heart grew restless. It was not only because he was handsome, but even more because of that gentleness and thoughtfulness, the cuteness he revealed unintentionally, and the jealousy that still faintly showed through even when he pretended nothing was wrong. Letty alternated her fists and thumped the pillow with a thud. But it doesn't seem like he has fallen madly in love with me, so even if I die, he should still be able to live well, right? After all, I'm only his lover for 3 months. Although she felt that this was still a blessing in misfortune, her chest still ached unusually sharply. Suddenly, there was a loud crash, and streaks of bright light shone in from the huge window. A bright light shone in from the huge window. Startled by the deafening thunder, Letty jerked upright, yet her father's figure appeared before her eyes. He viciously swung his arm down at her. The fear in her heart was magnified without limit. Thunder rang across the sky again, and the girl curled up in fright, covering her ears. But this still could not relieve it. Her father's raised hand appeared before her eyes once again. In the end, Letty still could not escape her fear. In panic, she fled the room.
Save me. Someone help me.
Anywhere would be better than staying alone in the dark. In the end, she ran to Shalahan's room. Seeing the girl's pale face and terrified eyes, the man was somewhat shocked. What happened? It's cold outside. Come in first. Letty stumbled into the room. Okay. Shivering all over, She sat down on the sofa. Shalahan had originally wanted her to drink some tea and calm down, but seeing that she was only trembling nonstop, he asked whether she was feeling unwell somewhere.
No.
I'm just afraid of the sound of thunder. Compared to the thunder, I think I'm even more afraid of being alone. In an instant, another bolt of lightning split the night sky. Letty was so frightened that she suddenly hugged the man beside her tightly. Shalahan was caught somewhat off guard, but after feeling the girl's fear, he also pulled her hard into his arms, only hoping to soothe her uneasy heart. But the girl's next words made him break down instantly. Can I sleep here tonight? The girl wanted to sleep with him tonight. At once, Shalahan became excited all over. After all, seeing Letty trembling in fear just now, her trembling body reminded him of soldiers on the battlefield. Those eyes that shifted back and forth because of unease, and that pitifully trembling body, were exactly the reactions of someone who had suffered a tremendous shock. The man clenched his teeth tightly, forcibly suppressing the surging fury. He wished he could immediately go back to Blanche and gouge out the eyes of those who had laid hands on her with his own hands, then chop off their limbs. But he knew that was not what he should do most right now, so he could only hold the girl even tighter, until he heard Letty say that she wanted to sleep here tonight. I'll just hold your hand. Shalahan did not answer for a moment. He did not know whether she was joking or sincere. Not receiving a reply, the girl dejectedly assumed it was not possible. She quietly drew back. Forget it. I'll sleep by myself.
Sorry, I made a strange request.
Seeing that Letty was about to get up, Shalahan hesitantly reached out his hand, who knew that another flash of lightning would strike again. The girl immediately squeezed her eyes shut tightly, trying to erase her father's cruel face from her mind. To keep herself from trembling, she curled herself up tightly. The thunder came one after another, and her breathing became more and more rapid. Suddenly, the deafening thunder seemed to weaken, and warmth came to her cheeks. It was Shalahan covering her ears with both hands. Open your eyes. What came into view was the man's handsome face in the darkness, looking straight at her. Although he was still expressionless as usual, Letty could see the unconcealable concern, and his blue eyes rippled with worry for her. Faced with that kind of gaze, her trembling also slowly subsided, until the thunder stopped completely. It's all right now. Letty smiled gently, and color finally returned to her face. Worried that she might be frightened by the thunder again, Shalahan finally agreed to let her sleep in his room. The girl rubbed against his broad palm, thanking him once again for taking her in. Before long, on the spacious bed, Letty placed both hands on her chest and promised, I really won't do anything, so don't be afraid. Shalahan lay stiffly there, saying with his mouth, I'm not afraid, but cold sweat kept breaking out over his body. Who knew that, once calm again, the girl immediately revealed her true nature, stretching out a finger and poking me relentlessly. I could tell at a glance. The man, looking like someone being teased, hurriedly covered his chest with his hand and glared sorrowfully at Letty. Don't do this. But the more he acted like that, the more it stimulated the girl, and she instead poked all over his body with even more enthusiasm. Stop fooling around, hurry, and stop. Her wrist was grabbed. The girl widened her eyes in surprise and looked at him. Shalahan spoke slowly, his voice low and restrained. Don't make me do something to you, please. Thunder sounded again. The sudden lightning once more stirred up Letty's fear. Only then did the man realize that she was deliberately joking around, pretending nothing was wrong even though she was clearly very afraid. Why is it that when I want you to rely on me, you insist on struggling on by yourself? I want you to give all of yourself to me. If that were the case, then this vague sense of unease should also disappear, right? And on the other side, at Duke Blanche's residence, the Duke was absolutely furious. After Letty left with Shalahan, the Duke of Blanche, having come to his senses, immediately began to protest. Gerard deliberately brought up that the girl had been seriously injured, even though she had still been perfectly fine until yesterday. The man quickly weighed his options, compared with the negative impact that would come from news spreading that he had brutally beaten his own daughter. It seemed that letting Letty leave would actually cause less damage. And this, too, was exactly the outcome Gerard wanted. He coldly averted his gaze and, amid the shrinking tension, noticed the person standing on the stairs. At the moment their eyes met, Leon immediately remembered that this was the very person he had seen when he was kidnapped by Duke Candel. That demonic voice, carved into a searing anguish and pain, rang in his ears once again. His foot slipped at once, and he tumbled down the stairs. After that, the Duke immediately sent someone to the temple to fetch help. But several hours passed, and all they said from over there was that there were no priests available to come. Is this acceptable? My son's leg is broken, and yet there isn't a single priest who can come at once to treat him. If Letty were here, she could have treated him. That damn girl, she's never around when she's needed. In truth, this also meant that he had long known Letty was born with extraordinary magical power, stronger than Leon, and stronger than himself as well. But he had neither properly educated her nor developed her power, all for Leon's sake, because Leon was the heir of the Blanche family. If he saw that his younger sister possessed such ability, he would surely be furious. Besides, no matter how much she was cultivated, A girl was still just a girl in the end. For a girl who only needed to marry well, there was absolutely no need to spend money raising her abilities, and now there was no other choice. Prepare the carriage at once. I'm going to the temple. A considerable commotion immediately broke out in the temple of Altion. Treat him at once. With so many priests, is there really not a single one who can heal him? You insolent fools! Who is making such a loud disturbance in this holy temple? The sudden voice made Duke Blanche turn his head to the side. High Priest Mihai. The lower-ranking priests all bowed in salute. The person who had arrived was none other than Mihai Dashavilian, a candidate for the next pope. The man's golden eyes were icy to the extreme. I'm asking you all, what happened? Duke Blanche knew very well that someone of this stature absolutely could not be offended. He hurriedly stopped the loose-tongued Leon and said that he himself had been rude. My son needs treatment. I was anxious for a moment, so I rashly came all the way here. Of course, he had no way of knowing that it was Dasha who had forbidden the priests from going over. Oh my. It seems my subordinates have neglected their duty. To express my apology, I will treat him personally. Between those fierce, arched brows and eyes, the man's golden pupils shimmered with a strange light. But the Duke noticed nothing. The moment he heard that the High Priest would personally provide treatment, he was overjoyed. Duke Candel himself had never received such treatment. This was treatment that even Duke Candel had never received. If I can build a good relationship with the next pope, perhaps I can regain my former glory. After that, he even instructed his son to be sure to seize this opportunity well. After all, that was a man destined to become the future pope. And although Leon was somewhat unwilling, he still obediently followed along. After entering the room, Dasha immediately locked the door. He then asked how the other man had been injured and learned that he had missed a step on the stairs. He strode forward and lifted the man's wrist, ignoring his struggle from the pain. Then is this wound as well? On the red, swollen back of the hand, there was still a row of clear bite marks. In Dasha's eyes, even Letty's bite marks were unbearably adorable, which made it all the more impossible for them to remain on this bastard any longer. After pulling his hand back, Leon hurriedly smiled and apologized, but that only made Leon even angrier. So, after receiving the High Priest's treatment, he directly threw his father's warning to the back of his mind. Lowborn trash. I heard long ago that the next pope is the son of a woman of the streets. Do you think such rumors come from nowhere? You shallow fool. Meeting his contemptuous gaze, Dasha let out a cold laugh. Duke Candel was far too lenient. For someone like you, who dares to be so absurdly overconfident and arrogantly out of your depth, to have it end after being beaten only this badly, at the very least, all 4 of your limbs should have been crippled. He was really too soft-hearted. Leon's face instantly flushed red. Having been pampered since childhood, when had he ever been humiliated like this to his face? You bastard. He clenched his fist and swung it at Dasha, but the other man dodged it with ease. At the same time, his foot was tripped, and he fell straight to the floor face first like a dog eating dirt. Leon could not understand at all how he had dodged it, and as if reading his thoughts, Dasha thought, how could someone who grew up on the streets possibly fail to dodge a clumsy punch like that? A fight means nothing compared with everything I went through just to survive. Leon tried to get up, but his vision blurred. His body grew heavy, and even his head began to spin. When he finally managed to raise his head, he saw the man bending down to look at him. On that divinely beautiful face, an extreme madness flickered. Feeling dizzy, his whole body trembled, and he gasped heavily. What exactly did you do to me? Dasha bent down, bracing himself with one arm, his eyes curved with a smiling expression. I merely tangled your spiritual pathways together. If left untreated, in just a few months, your body will burst apart and you will die. Well, isn't that interesting? You lunatic. Does it feel as if all the blood in your body has drained away? Leon was so frightened that his mind became a complete mess. His lips trembled nonstop, and he could not even utter a complete sentence. And the man merely chuckled softly a few times and leisurely continued, unless there is someone stronger than me, no one can cure you. Of course, no such person has appeared so far. You'd better be smart. Cursing inwardly, but not wanting to die, Leon only then truly realized the gravity of the situation. His tone immediately became humble as well. What should I do? A large hand covered his forehead. If you dare lay a hand on Letty again, then that will be the day you die. Meanwhile, Letty was so excited, she was practically drooling. Oh my God. The moment she opened her eyes, Shalahan's face was right in front of her. You're awake. Seeing such a handsome face first thing in the morning feels way too good. She wiped at the corner of her mouth. You look very tired. Didn't you sleep well last night? You didn't sleep for only an hour or two, did you? The man stood up and answered her tiredly no. In truth, he had not slept at all the entire night. How could he possibly sleep while being held by the girl he loved? What are you planning to do today? The girl gently lifted the blanket covering her. I want to go find Dasha first. She still had no idea how alluring she looked at that moment. The instant Shalahan noticed, he sharply turned his head away. And then I want to sleep with you too. The man had still been a bit dazed, but once he understood, his entire face instantly turned red with embarrassment. Fortunately, Letty was only joking. While Shalahan let out a sigh of relief, he also felt strangely disappointed. You fell for it, didn't you? Being able to sleep together once is already enough to satisfy me. He really had no confidence that he could endure it a second time, so he hurriedly left the room. But the moment he stepped out, he ran into Stan, who had apparently been standing at the door for who knew how long, his face carrying emotions so strong it was almost choked with tears. I always believed Shalahan could not understand, but his intuition told him the next words definitely would not be pleasant. Sure enough, on the old butler's wrinkled face hung a smile warmer than spring sunlight itself, his green eyes shining more brightly than ever, his gaze full of expectation. I always firmly believed that this day would come at last. How should we prepare the wedding? And the date? And the dress? Of course, we also have to consider what kind of wedding Milady likes. He went on excitedly about his grand wedding plans. Milady, even the baby's name, I've already thought of one. But Shalahan covered his mouth with one hand and dragged him away at once. Stop. Don't say another word. Stan shouted unwillingly. Why won't you let me say it? We have to start preparing in advance from here on out. Marriage is a major event in life. There absolutely can't be the slightest negligence. Shalahan raised a hand to his forehead and let out a helpless sigh. Marriage. What an utterly incompatible word for someone like him. I never once thought I would get married, nor even that I would fall in love. But I still can't help beginning to look forward to it. Looking forward to marrying you. I even want to swear at the wedding that I will stay with you forever. The moment he thought of that unrealistic word, his face turned as red as a fully ripe tomato. His large hand covered the corners of his slightly upturned lips as he tried to calm himself down. I have no plans to get married yet. The old butler, who had been delighted just a moment ago, instantly looked as though he had been struck by lightning. But didn't you sleep together? Shalahan turned around shyly. I didn't do anything I need to take responsibility for. I'm going out, so hurry and make the preparations. The marriage that had seemed within reach suddenly vanished like a bubble, and Stan found it absurd. A man and woman in a romantic relationship slept in the same bed, yet nothing happened. Could it be that his master had some problem in that area? It was not impossible. After all, he had always been running about on battlefields, and was still a child who understood nothing. Thinking of this, the old butler gave a sly chuckle. In that case, next it would be time for him to show his talents. Without making an appointment in advance, Letty came straight to the temple of Altion. As soon as they heard that she was looking for the lower-ranking priest Dasha, the priest responsible for receiving visitors was instantly a little dumbfounded. When he heard her describe the other party as a handsome, silver-haired man, the man immediately thought of the high priest, but before he could speak, Joshua came running from who knew where. I know. I'll take you to him. Looking at the magnificent room before her, Letty widened her eyes. A lower-ranking priest actually lives in a room like this? The temple of Altion really is rich. Dasha, who pushed the door open and came in, was clearly a little flustered. Why did you come directly without contacting me in advance? After all, for this very moment, he had been in a frantic rush and had only just hurriedly changed clothes with Joshua's help. I did it on purpose and didn't contact you. Surprised? I was really startled too. Dasha pretended to be calm and curled his lips slightly. So, what exactly do you want? Surely you didn't really come all this way just to scare me. Letty thought for a moment. I wanted to thank you for healing me yesterday, and there's also something else I want to ask of you. The words ask of you made the man narrow his eyes slightly. Did this woman approach me on her own only because she wanted something from me? The girl clenched her fists as if making a huge decision. Please teach me how to control magic. This unexpected request left Dasha somewhat confused for a moment. But I'm a priest. The essence of divine power and magical power is originally extremely similar, and I am also a purification mage. Although my spiritual power is abundant, I am not skilled at controlling it. She wanted to become stronger, even if the time left in her life was not long. She did not want to keep causing trouble for Shalahan and Dasha, and she wanted to face her family openly and proudly with her own strength. Even if she were to leave and travel in the future, she would still need the strength to protect herself. When a robber snatched away her pouch, when Marquise Segra captured her, when she was kidnapped by Blanche, she no longer wanted to be crushed by this sense of helplessness. She wanted to grow as quickly as possible into someone capable of standing on her own. I only trust you, and you're the only one I can ask. Dasha almost did not think about it before agreeing. But if I agree to your request, can you agree to mine as well? No matter what I ask, this scheming green tea man, in order to rise higher, had actually changed his tactics to coax and deceive an innocent girl. Letty only wanted to ask him to teach her magic, but he took the opportunity to ask her for a promise. Fortunately, the girl was not that easy to fool. If I have to agree to any request no matter what, then that's basically a fraudulent contract, isn't it? What if you ask me to write my name with my butt, or make me do acrobatics by the roadside? What then? Dasha was directly thrown off by her serious expression as she said that. It took him quite some effort to get his expression back under control. Then, on the premise that it won't put you in a difficult position, agree to my request. Decide according to your conscience. At that level, it should be acceptable, right? The two happily reached an agreement. Let's begin. Letty immediately got ready to start practicing. Faced with someone as interesting as her, as the person closest to her, Dasha only wanted to be the one nearest to her. After learning everything about her, perhaps he would soon lose interest. But when it came to delicious things, he had always wanted the first bite. He was just about to gladly agree when he was told that someone had come looking for him. Realizing the person who came was most likely that old man, he had no choice but to postpone things until next time, and Letty felt too embarrassed to keep disturbing him. After all, she was the one who had suddenly come to find him. "I'll come find you very soon." Before leaving, he even hypocritically thanked a senior for lending him the room. The added act came so suddenly that Joshua couldn't figure out how to respond for a moment, so he could only force a smile, and the girl did not think much of it. She only assumed that Dasha's situation was not very good, to the point that he even had to borrow a room from someone else. She secretly made up her mind that next time, she absolutely could not come looking for him so rashly again. Watching Letty leave, Dasha quietly mocked Joshua for his poor acting, saying he really was an old hand. "By the way, someone came to inform me again that High Priest Hyberlapru is looking for me." Dasha let out a helpless sigh. The current Pope's condition is probably getting worse. He's afraid I'll become the Pope, so he wants to use it to keep me in check. Letty happily threw herself into Shalahan's arms. "We actually got home at the same time. Could this be fate? How boring beyond measure." Shalahan felt the same way. He thought the day had been truly dull, and only when he was with Letty was he happiest. Could it be that she had purified his heart as well? At that moment, Stan, acting sneaky at the side, stepped forward and started his performance, saying that the new servant was far too thoughtless. He had actually soaked all the quilts in water, though fortunately the master's quilt was completely unharmed. But Miss no longer had a quilt she could use. Shalahan, however, did not think much of it. "Can't we just go buy one? How big of a deal is that?" Stan had come prepared and did not explain much, only saying that he had already searched everywhere, but there were no high-quality quilts that met the Candle family standards, and they would have to wait several more days before any arrived. They couldn't possibly let Miss use an inferior one, but Shalahan completely failed to get his good intentions and decisively countered the move. "Then just give her my quilt." This move left Stan dumbfounded. His teammate was too pig-headed to carry. Fortunately, Letty refused. Otherwise, all his scheming would really have been in vain. "It's fine." In order to stop his master from coming up with some other absurd idea, Stan hurriedly suggested that the two of them stay together for one more night, and the girl readily agreed. But Shalahan was stunned by this. "What? You don't want to sleep with me?" Although the man's brain was practically overheating, in the end he still did not deny it. Letty looked back and smiled, assuring him, "Don't worry, I'll be just like last night. I absolutely won't provoke you." How could she know that the problem was not that at all? As long as he could restrain himself, it would be fine. But ideals were full, while reality was painfully thin. As bedtime approached, Shalahan was already so anxious that he was pacing in circles. The door was knocked on. Letty came over in her pajamas. She was even carrying cake in her hands. Although the man's mood at that moment was like an ant on a hot pan, he still tried desperately to cooperate with the girl. After learning that she liked cream cake, he silently decided that from today onward, he liked it too. He cut off a piece and fed it to the girl. Cream got smeared at the corner of her mouth. Letty was worried that if she played any little tricks again, Shalahan would directly run away, so she was about to take a tissue and wipe it off. But unexpectedly, he suddenly cupped her face. The distance suddenly closed. "Didn't you say that this kind of thing should originally be done by a lover?" Clearly, they were talking about helping the girl wipe her mouth, but his gaze looked like he wanted to swallow her whole. So frightened was Letty that she kept backing away. "I'm full. I'm not eating anymore." But Shalahan was still hungry. How could he possibly let her go so easily? His large hand wrapped around her slender waist. That sensitive touch made the girl's mind waver as well. Only when the man finally pulled away, panting, with unfocused eyes, and saw that Letty, just like him, had hazy eyes and a flushed face, did he finally smile smugly. "Now I'm full." The girl, whose heart was in complete turmoil, shyly stood up. Taking 2 steps at a time, she flopped onto the bed with a thud. "I must complete your purification as soon as possible." Shalahan darted into the covers. After completing the purification, Letty did not continue speaking. He looked at the girl beside him, already asleep. As long as she stayed by his side, he could suppress that ugly possessiveness. Yet just as this thought had appeared, Letty's hand reached over. She turned over and rubbed herself against him, especially with that soft mass pressed tightly against him. The stimulation made the man's blood surge. "I should pull away, but if I move, she seems like she'll wake up." He could only slowly, with difficulty, control himself and carefully shift his body. But in the very next second, the girl's long leg came draping straight over him, and it landed right on the most sensitive place. This painful torment made Shalahan genuinely want to cry. At long last, morning finally came. His gaunt face showed that he had once again failed to sleep at all today. Letty glanced at the butler's note by the bedside. "It suddenly rained heavily in the morning, and the quilts still haven't been dealt with, so I'm afraid you may have to sleep in this room for a few more days." She did not think much of it, but the Shalahan beside her was already nearly done for. By the 4th day, he finally fell asleep. Completely exhausted, Shalahan dropped onto the bed and immediately passed out as if the power had been cut. Letty quietly watched his sleeping face. Even the way he looked while asleep was so beautiful, practically like a national treasure. Yet at that moment, Shalahan suddenly let out a suppressed groan. His face, originally like a sculpture, gradually twisted, and cold sweat slid down from his temple. Letty had once heard rumors about Shalahan. It was said that when he was very young, the Duke and Duchess had already passed away. The family's wealth and glory were all taken by distant relatives, and with that cursed body, he wandered the battlefield. She reached out and gently touched his forehead. At such a young age, just how much hardship had he gone through? I will definitely help you completely purify that curse, whether in body or in soul. That way, you can live on like everyone else, ordinary and happy. Even if I leave, you will still be able to live happily on. Letty smiled desolately. To her, this was like the only goal left for the rest of her life, and also the final item on her list of wishes. But in the very next second, her wrist was suddenly seized. Shalahan, whom she had thought was sleeping deeply, suddenly sat up and looked at her in disbelief. What did you just say? Did you just say that you're going to leave? Her heart was almost frightened out of her chest, but Letty still pretended to play dumb in a composed manner.
Me?
Where could I possibly go? After finally pressing the man back onto the bed again, she knew that there was only a little over a month left on the contract. I really can't bear to part with him. Luckily, he only likes me and doesn't love me. She gently patted Shalahan to lull him to sleep. Okay, I will. Letty promised him that she would always stay by his side, only until before the contract ended. This time, Shalahan finally slept well, and the girl gently leaned close. Looking at your current condition, it seems like we can start purifying the lower body now. The two exchanged an awkward glance. Then their faces turned red at the same time. Purifying the lower body. So could the two of them really complete the purification smoothly? Letty, who was always proactive, lost her nerve this time. Let's leave the lower body purification for next time. I'll go see boss Lady Charbet first. Unfortunately, Shalahan also had to go to the Imperial City, so in the end, he could only nod in reluctant agreement. From now on, whatever we do, let's go together. Guessing that she probably would not make any strange requests, the man obediently nodded again and agreed. Letty truly did not have any other thoughts. At most, she would just go swimming, soak in hot springs, watch the sea, attend festivals, and then cause a few misunderstandings or something. After meeting Charbet, the other party first apologized to her for delivering the letter last time, and decided that from now on, she would no longer receive Blanche, with Letty being the only exception. Noticing the silhouette behind the gauze curtain, the girl felt that she probably had a guest right now. So she planned to come again another day. No need. You don't have to leave. The gauze curtain was suddenly pulled open. It was actually Her Imperial Highness the Princess. Although Letty felt a little awkward, she still took the initiative to bow. That was only because before Blanche had fallen, the princess had once been engaged to Leon, but she knew better than anyone what kind of person her own brother was. Later, because the two of them were completely incompatible in both outlook on life and values, it ended with Leon being beaten up badly by the other party and the engagement being called off. Since then, she had not seen the princess again for 5 years. Because it was too embarrassing, she had always avoided her. But in these 5 years, the princess had changed far too much. The other party explained that she had never intended to burden her, but she had not expected that her bond with Zamber would be this deep. The girl, who had no resistance at all to beauty, was instantly won over. Anyway, I've already been removed from the family register, so I don't need to watch anyone's face anymore. So she immediately put away her earlier restraint. Please just call me Letty. This straightforward personality was clearly exactly the princess's type, and she even could not help feeling that she regretted not meeting her sooner. So she stepped forward and gently touched the girl's cheek. Of course, you can just call me Eldra too. This level of beauty attack was simply not something Aluk's lover could withstand. The girl almost drooled and nodded frantically. The atmosphere immediately became warm and harmonious, and the three of them even agreed to meet often in the future to chat. Only after leaving did Letty belatedly remember that she would be leaving before long, so why was she always making promises about the future with other people? But this was actually the first time. Why did good things only start happening one after another when my death is drawing near? Anyway, after I go traveling and quietly die, no one will know. As long as the bond isn't too deep, it won't hurt too much, right? The sound of knocking interrupted the drowsy girl. Dasha wondered why she still had not gone downstairs. He then brought the girl to an open space where the air felt especially fresh. The spiritual power here is pure, and it also flows very quickly. This is the most suitable place for practice. First, follow your usual habits and try using magic once. Letty activated her spiritual power, and thick tree roots rose from the ground one after another. Dasha saw the problem at a glance. She had used far too much unnecessary spiritual power, which was why the consumption was so huge. It was like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. So he suggested that the girl direct her spiritual power toward him and carefully feel how the power flowed. So it was actually this delicate and soft. Under Dasha's guidance, she raised her hand again and tried once more. Who would have thought that in the next second, there was a crack, and then the ground began to shake. The moment the girl sensed something was wrong, she immediately reached out worriedly toward the man. But that action shook Dasha once again. Just like the last time when the building suddenly collapsed. She clearly knew she was stronger. Yet every time, she still rushed forward first to save him. How could that possibly keep him from being moved? So he pulled the girl in his arms into a tight embrace. It's okay. At the same time, he cast protective magic, enveloping the two of them within it. It'll be fine. Only when everything finally returned to calm, and noticing the towering giant trees that had sprung up around them, did Letty happily hug him even tighter. Dasha, I really do seem to be a genius. Only afterward did she belatedly realize that their actions seemed a little too intimate. Fortunately, the other party quickly withdrew and stepped back. With the tips of his ears red, he pretended to be calm and changed the subject. How to identify. Listening to him seriously spout nonsense with a straight face, the girl clenched her little fist full of motivation. Okay, teacher. Then I'll leave it to you. On the way back, Letty was still savoring the progress she had just made. But Dasha was lamenting that such a genius had gone untaught all this time. It seemed her family had never truly cared about her. Feeling his heart beating uncontrollably, he began to wonder he should have reached the point of getting tired of her by now. So was it because of her talent that his interest had been rekindled? After that, he brought up the upcoming festival in Ixis. His original intention was to invite the girl to go together. But who would have known that the first person she thought of was Shalahan? Thank you so much for today. Being able to become your friend really is my good fortune. Wearing the title of friend, what else could the man say? And the moment Letty returned, she immediately brought up the festival to Shalahan. She wanted to invite him to go together tomorrow, but because of the curse on his body, he was somewhat hesitant. So then exactly when would we be able to go? Do we really have to wait until the curse has been completely purified? Then she suddenly pulled open a shirt, revealing clean and firm skin. See, there isn't a trace of the curse left on your upper body anymore. I won't force you too much. We'll just go to the night market a little later, and we'll keep our masks on the whole time. So, are you willing to go with me? The girl's words seemed to carry magic by nature, enchanting him into giving a light nod. The next day, the two changed into commoners' clothes, and, as promised, arrived at the festival. Letty wore a white rabbit mask, while Shalahan wore a black cat mask. Like an ordinary couple, the two happily ate and strolled all the way through. The man, attending such a festival for the first time, was obviously somewhat restrained. The gazes people cast at them also seemed different from before. They were no longer fear and disgust, but rather as if people were secretly stealing glances at them. The instant he realized that, his heartbeat suddenly quickened. He lowered his head and kissed the girl. I want another bite. Startled, Letty raised her little fist and hit him. But in the end, all she got in return was her own burning sense of embarrassment. Annoying. After saying that, she turned and strode away. How had he suddenly become so skilled? He clearly had not been like this before. In truth, her heart was also in turmoil, but when she turned around, her heart suddenly sank with a jolt. She saw a maid inviting Shalahan. She saw a woman inviting Shalahan. The man was a little surprised that the other party was not afraid of him. Although after the purification, the scent had indeed become much lighter, this was still something unprecedented. He looked around, and even so, he still decisively refused the other party and began looking for Letty, who knew that the woman would not give up and was still trying every possible way to keep pestering him. Letty, who witnessed all of this, turned around and left again. If I leave, Shalahan will fall in love with another woman. I obviously knew this long ago, but why does it still hurt so much? Isn't his happiness exactly what I want? I can't get jealous over something like this. At that moment, a man appeared behind her. Seeing her breathing heavily, he thought she was not feeling well. After gesturing for her to sit down, he casually handed her the drink he had just bought. He even took a sip first to show that there was no problem with it. Letty took off her mask and thanked him. But who would have thought that the man would fall in love with her at first sight the instant he saw her?